You're listening to GCN. Great Talk Radio starts here. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
This is going to be an ultra important radio broadcast today, the 13th day of May 2013. I am your host, Alex Jones. We've got Paul Joseph Watson at the bottom of the hour, and I read the special report that he put together with some of my notes that were added to it. That's why it's Paul Watson and Alex Jones. And I just called him up about 10 minutes ago, and I said, please add some of these hardcore points to the article that we have sources that said we need to go check out Google's connection to Bilderberg years ago. And that those same sources said, hey, this is a special meeting going on. You need to go check out the Grove Hotel northwest of London because something big is happening there. And then Watson stumbled with our InfoWars auxiliary reporter with him into the middle of something very big and got a lot of key data from multiple high-level people there at the meeting because they think the public's so stupid. They're hiding this in plain view. Guard shacks being built, Google people scurrying around. Google starts meeting there next week. This is where they met to plan the Arab Spring. That's now been admitted. They were bragging about that. And the torch is being passed by David Rockefeller and others to Schmidt of Google. And they're moving totally to the technocracy. So this is a big deal. This is really adds to the years of research we've done on Bilderberg intensely for the last decade and tracking them to Switzerland and documenting a bunch of Google execs, including Schmidt there, leading some of the meetings inside. All of this information coming up today with Paul Joseph Watson at the bottom of the hour. And then Katherine Albrecht, Dr. Katherine Albrecht, technology expert, consumer advocate. She is going to be joining us to talk about Google. I set her up last week, but basically canceled her, had her on for like 10 minutes instead of an hour because of Benghazi Gate on Thursday, moving her to this week to talk about Google. And sure, we know Google's big. We know that they want to be the internet. We know that they're dominating on so many fronts, but do we really understand it is to be the technocracy, the digital skin? It's the group allowed to break into your computer without warrants and steal all your data. It's the group sharing all of your data. It's the group created by the CIA and National Security Agency. It will absorb the old real web, the organic web, and force you onto its controlled web. That's part of Internet 2 plan. Oh, you can be on the old internet that's falling apart and shut down, but Google won't let you access Internet 2, run by them and the government globally, governments with 100 times faster internet. That's what they're designing. That's what they're setting up. That's what they're rolling out. So, bottom of the hour, GOOGLEBERG. This is the most important meeting of Bilderberg in its 60-plus years since they first met in 1954 officially, and that too had a bunch of lead-up meetings, meetings during and meetings after. This is a mega jumbo realigning metamorphosis technocratic meeting, and at the meeting they have a sculpture of a human skeleton being absorbed by a computer. That photo is up on Infowars.com. The article is red-linked. GOOGLEBERG. Google merges with Bilderberg. GOOGLEBERG. Google taking over the planet. GOOGLEBERG. Global elite transforms itself into technocratic revolution. GOOGLEBERG. Global elite transforms itself for technocratic revolution. Authoritarian, anti-democratic power networks are being rebranded as trendy, philanthropic style groups. And again, Watson has been working on this article 4 days. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, on the other side. Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gate, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
With health threats on the rise, such as West Nile virus, MRSA, CRE, and now the new bird flu recently discovered in China, there has never been a more crucial time to support your immune system. Supernatural Silver is a revolutionary new silver solution that is clinically shown to be several hundred times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver, and is powerful enough to help protect you and your family. Supernatural Silver is scientifically supported, highly effective, and perfect for everyday use inside the body as well as out. The Science Digest Journal says silver is our mightiest germ fighter. It is virtually non-toxic and is emerging as a wonder of modern medicine. Supernatural Silver is the #1 choice of thousands for improved health and immune system support. To find out how Supernatural Silver can change your life, go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SPRING2013 for 20% off, and like us on Facebook.
In the last 2 years alone, the U.S. has seen huge losses to our food supply. In 2011, storms and floods raged across the U.S., costing us $20 billion in lost crops alone. In 2012, we saw the largest drought in the country in more than 50 years. You may think out of sight, out of mind, and so you don't think you will be affected. The fact is you are. We all are. Food shortages drive prices up for everyone. You might not be able to control Mother Nature, but you can control your food prices by freezing the cost and availability of your food supply with eFoods Direct. Be prepared before you need it. With nutrient-dense food you can store for up to 25 years. You can hope for the best, but hope won't feed you. Do what I've done and get your own supply of the best storable foods out there from eFoods Direct. Call 800-409-5633 or visit them on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex and check out their spring specials. Again, that number is 800-409-5633 or on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center in the heart of the resistance. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. It is the 13th day of May, 2013. We are going to be here for the next 3 hours. We have big breaking Bilderberg / Google global governance news. We have Bill Gates, who frequently attends Bilderberg, but also the head of Google, Eric Schmidt, also has been videotaped attending, as well as Zuckerberg, the head of Facebook, planning that pump and dump 2 years ago in Switzerland with the stock. But from our sources and on-the-ground confirmation, we have confirmed that Google is basically running Bilderberg 2013 and meeting several weeks in advance at the same hotel where Project X of the OSS was run during World War II. Now, why do globalists not meet at government compounds? Because that could be under surveillance. Government people could blow the whistle. When you have these criminal networks meeting, they do it outside of government, but use local police as their security force. And the mayor of the local town of Watford, northwest of London, it's an elitist area, has come out and said, oh, horrible protesters, I'm sure they'll be violent, horrible people. I've got her quotes here in the paper. But I still feel honored that we're prestigious enough to host this Bilderberg Group conference. So she's saying it's prestigious, horrible rabble coming to protest it. She hopes they can be stopped. Watford Mayor, Bilderberg protesters can and do cause violence and disturbance. And that's the actual quote. And then she goes on to say, oh, thank goodness we're prestigious enough venue. It's, quote, very good. The Grove has been deemed a prestigious enough venue for us to be able to host it. But it's horrible that vicious people from all over the world are going to be traveling here as royalty and world leaders meet in secret with robber barons, carving up the world. Oh, it's so terrible that an alternative press dare cover it. So, see, she's in a local paper going, oh, yeah, you know, global government's coming here to meet in town, horrible rabble. I guess she didn't get the memo. Bilderberg Group doesn't exist, the New York Times says. When I covered it 5 years ago when no one could find Obama in D.C. with Hillary, we knew they were there. Secret Service came in. We confirmed we were there. I called the press, the mainstream press, and they said, we're not coming to that. The Epoch Times covered it, and that was it. And so the New York Times a year later came out and said, oh, there's a film about it called New World Order. Alex Jones was in a hotel parking lot imagining global elite were meeting. He imagined there were 2 billion bullets. He imagined the IRS was persecuting Tea Party groups and patriot groups. He imagined government documents 4 years ago given to him by state police and federal marshals, more than 8 different documents where they said returning veterans, gun owners, libertarians, conservatives would be the new terror threat, not al-Qaeda. Of course, it all turned out to be real documents, and it's now mainstream news. I imagined it all. I imagined the sun came up this morning. So Paul Watson is going to be joining us, and we're going to be breaking down the biggest developments in Bilderberg's official history since 1954. Oh, and I'm afraid that even if corporate dinosaur media doesn't cover it here in the United States, I'm afraid it will end up getting covered. Oh, I'm afraid so. And that will only hurt your credibility that much worse. So please do what you always do and be conceited, be arrogant, and treat your readers and your viewers like they're morons, Piers Morgan and Rachel Maddow, and watch your audiences dwindle by the week. Rachel, your audience was 800,000 a year ago. It's 400,000 now. Oh, just a year ago, Piers Morgan, your audience was 1 million. Now it's 400,000, trending to be 300,000 in a month at the current plunge rate. Oh, you're hemorrhaging out. But it kind of feels good, though, there in the last minutes politically of your waning star, because the endorphins flow and you kind of enter a type of rapture politically as you die politically. It's like roaches. If you spray them with poison, they run around euphorically for a few seconds before flopping on their backs. Oh, Piers Morgan hopes for CNN talk show to rebound like a dead cat bounce after getting beaten up in the ratings. It was like an explosion when I went on his show January 7th. Suddenly, 2 million viewers. He only had about 600,000 then. Again, a few months before that, 1 million. And it exploded, and for about a week or so, he had 1 million, and then 800,000, 700,000, 600,000, 500,000, 400,000. It was like an explosion, like he was an attack frigate orbiting above our city, and we blasted it with heavy guns, and it exploded. Everyone look at oh, he's big. Piers Morgan is big. He's big again. As he exploded. Oh, and then they declared their victory over us in the dying dinosaur media. They declared their victory and danced in an imaginary victory dance, spiking the football in the end zone as they burned. There'll be more fireworks for these people. But listen, the globalists are capable of staging a big terror attack and bringing in martial law. They're capable of launching a big war. They didn't get into power because they weren't willing to do desperate things and weren't bold. So they could release a bioweapon and pose as saviors and use the martial law clampdown. All the stuff they've put in place is so they can clamp down if we ever start defeating them. As Zbigniew Brzezinski has said, as Hillary Clinton has said, they're losing the info war. And what are they going to do as we kamikaze into them politically, like an X-Wing going into the main deck of the Executor Star Destroyer? Total nerd analogy. Total nerd allegory. and that's the secret. Fortune favors the bold. Our fortune is not eating GMO. Our fortune is having national sovereignty. Our fortune is energizing families and men and women and children to have success. That's the fortune we seek, not dumb the whole world down and cut off resources so you eugenicists can play God. By the way, it's in mainstream news, and I'm going to get into all the other big news on the IRS targeting Tea Parties. This could be bigger than Benghazi. Benghazi continuing to melt down. I mean, this is what a coup d'etat or a counter coup in the establishment looks like against Obama. And again, it's not because the establishment wants to give us a victory this is happening. It's because they know that they've committed and accelerated their program too fast, and even sectors of the establishment are scared of Obama and the hardcore technocrats, because the hardcore technocrats hate humanity so much and are such psychopathic control freaks that large sectors of the establishment realize, oh my God, this isn't business as usual, keeping the masses down and centralizing control. This really is a crazy eugenics plan to bring in world government and exterminate 80+% of the population. And they also see how France and other European countries are about 10 years ahead of the United States and England in the globalist takeover. And they see how even billionaires are being arrested and having their stolen wealth stolen by other globalists. And so they're figuring out, oh my gosh, when we get rid of checks and balances, oh my gosh, when we get rid of any type of due process, we're going to be the first people up on the chopping block. You could have two globalists left on Earth in a palace, a technocratic palace, and they would try to kill each other. It is the nature of these people. And so there is a worldwide battle for the heart and soul of humanity going on. It's happening all over the planet. It's happening in communist China. It's happening in authoritarian Israel. It's happening in authoritarian Saudi Arabia. It's happening in authoritarian England. It's happening in authoritarian United States of America. And you are the resistance. Oh, by the way, I'm going to do a report on this on the Nightly News tonight, or perhaps the third hour if I have time, because Richard Belzer's coming up, Katherine Albrecht into Google, Paul Watson. But look at this. Rich cabals meet about overpopulation. Document cam, please, for TV viewers. And you see the original ABC News article from 2009. And it says, by Russell Goldman, meeting of America's richest about need, attendees say. But the original headline, and they changed it, was, that's out of the Times of London. I want you guys to print me this. Billionaire club in bid to curb overpopulation. And they actually let the Times of London, ABC News, by the way, both these groups were sponsored at the time by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They let them into the meeting. And they actually came out and said, oh, the plan is not to be the world government. That's already establised. It says that at the end of this Times of London article. The plan is to be advisors to the global government on how to reduce population. Bill and Melinda Gates, Warren Buffett, Schmidt, Oprah Winfrey, you name it. And now they're meeting again. Here's the new article out of News 13, WCBD. Bill Gates, Jeb Bush, Oprah, and Warren Buffett meet in South Carolina, Island. And they say it's guessed to discuss overpopulation. Secret Billionaire Club seeks population control. That's WorldNet Daily. So that's coming up. But first, Obama's Watergate, the twin-headed beast of Benghazi Gate and IRS Gate.
Ceramic body armor is rated to stop 6 hits. But what about the 7th? Unlike ceramic or Kevlar, Infidel body armor is proven to take hit after hit, and it just won't quit. Reasonably priced and designed for the smart civilian prepper, Infidel stops hundreds of hits from small arms to high-powered rifles. That means safety and peace of mind. Buy yours at infidelbodyarmor.com, spelled I-N-F-I-D-E-L bodyarmor.com. Infidel body armor just won't quit.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit and carting to a private bank, having it lent back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Hi, Ted Anderson. I'm placing a free silver dollar in a book that explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
In the last 2 years alone, the U.S. has seen huge losses to our food supply. In 2011, storms and floods raged across the U.S., costing us $20 billion in lost crops alone. In 2012, we saw the largest drought in the country in more than 50 years. You may think out of sight, out of mind, and so you don't think you will be affected. The fact is you are. We all are. Food shortages drive prices up for everyone. You might not be able to control Mother Nature, but you can control your food prices by freezing the cost and availability of your food supply with eFoods Direct. Be prepared before you need it. With nutrient-dense food you can store for up to 25 years. You can hope for the best, but hope won't feed you. Do what I've done and get your own supply of the best storable foods out there from eFoods Direct. Call 800-409-5633 or visit them on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex and check out their spring specials. Again, that number is 800-409-5633 or on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
Hello, this is Ty Bollinger, author of the best-selling book, Cancer, Step Outside the Box. I want you to know some very important information. In 1985, President Ronald Reagan requested that Carnivora be sent directly to the White House at a time when only the president could obtain this world-class healer. Now, 27 years later, Carnivora capsules are used around the world to keep people healthy. Now you can protect yourself and your loved ones in this age of superbugs with 17 naturally occurring compounds that instinctively respond to abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell. If you want to stay healthy, now's your chance to literally wake up your critical immune cells to attack harmful invaders that don't belong in your body. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY or order from carnivora.com. That's CARNIVORA.com. That's 1-866-836-8735, 1-866-VENUS-FLY, or visit carnivora.com. Protect your immune system. It's the only one you've got.
Big business has discovered the preparedness market, and that makes it difficult to know where to go and who to trust. MyPatriotSupply.com is owned and operated by patriots just like you, has the best prices on storable food, non-GMO seeds, water filtration devices, home canning equipment, survival and self-reliance books, and more. MyPatriotSupply.com has old-fashioned values and the absolute best customer service in the industry. Look for the deal of the day, unique, affordable survival supplies that fit anyone's budget. Get same-day shipping on all orders and free shipping on orders over $49. Call 866-229-0927, 866-229-0927, or visit MyPatriotSupply.com for emergency preparedness, self-reliance, and food independence. Shop with a name you know and a name you can trust. Before it's time to survive, it's time to prepare. MyPatriotSupply.com.
Young men fighting, look at your women crying.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is undoubtedly the biggest news since Bilderberg's founding back in 1954. Of course, it was secret in the mainstream press for the last decade. It's still quasi-secret. The media alternately says it doesn't exist, or you're insane if you protest it, that it does exist, but that world elites should be able to meet in secret with your elected politicians who will then sign over your assets to them. But here's the headline: GOOGLEBERG, global elite transforms itself for technocratic revolution. Incredibly important article by Paul Joseph Watson at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. He's joining us in the next segment. And then in the next hour with Katherine Albrecht, I'm going to talk about what the technocrats like Google and Apple, but Google's the key, are doing with all the data they have on you. Now, you notice suddenly they're on CNN going, it's for your best interest. Everything you do for a decade has been recorded. We can go back and listen to any of it. You are guilty until proven innocent, and even when you're proven innocent, we continue to spy on you without warrants. But we're secret. If we want to meet and violate federal law, the Logan Act, with your elected politicians that we bought and paid for, and literally carve up the world. I mean, they had meetings in Turkey, we got some of the minutes of, about how they were going to shut down power plants all over the United States 5 years ago. And they did it. And they had the big global power company heads there literally deciding what companies weren't part of the inside group to be shut down. All the insiders were given waivers. People outside the insiders had their plants shut down, and you got higher power prices. Oh, see how money's made? It's made by shutting down your competition. That's what Bilderberg's about. Oh, but they're all secret. And undoubtedly, the British cops will be bugging their eyes out at us. How dare you try to come here and cover this criminal meeting? And I'll go, hey, cops, you notice your money doesn't go as far. Hope you enjoy having your pension funds taken. And I'll pull up on an iPad articles about British civil servant pension funds already raided. And I'll go, oh, and the cops, because I did this in Virginia last year, the cops go, really? And by the end of it, the cops are patting us on the back going, yes, you're absolutely right, they're criminals. You will figure it out. And it's better to figure it out now before they fully robbed all of us instead of later. Now, speaking of that, I have told you, and we've not tooted our horn yet, we ought to dig the articles up, I have told you for over a decade, it doesn't matter when Republicans are in office, because the bureaucracy is a bunch of collectivists. Most people in government, as you know, are communist or socialist. They don't understand they work for big mega offshore banks. They just know they get their chicken feed. And I have known pastors that have been audited because they criticize any type of socialism or abortion. I have known authors that have been audited and told you should. I mean, Tex Mars, back when he was, kind of like a mainline Republican, was writing articles about Hillary Clinton and best-selling books like Big Sis is Watching. And they came and audited him and shut him down, basically, and said, hey, you shouldn't talk bad about Clinton. This is back in the late 1990s. And so many people say, hey, I don't want to mess with the government, I'll get audited. When you act like that, it's over, folks. When you act like that, you have no future. When you start controlling what you say because the government might come after you, everyone then shuts up and goes along, and then you get a tyranny. Freedom is when you stand up against these people. And the illegitimate collection agency for the private Federal Reserve. We didn't even have an income tax till 1913. Most Americans weren't even eligible to pay it till the 1950s. It didn't build the nation. It destroyed the nation. Now, let's go to these articles. Because people are saying, hey, this could be a distraction from Benghazi Gate. And that's not what's happening. Benghazi Gate's out there bigger than ever. This is because everybody is sick of going along with this, and people are sick of whistleblowers being arrested. And so this is what happens. You get pushed around, you get scared, and then after a while you go, you know what, I'm sick of being scared. I'm sick of living like this. I'm going to blow the whistle. And everybody's starting to blow the whistle. Citizens have been blowing the whistle for the last few years about how illegal aliens are allowed to have all the tax ID numbers they want and are given tax benefits and tax refunds that aren't even theirs. Individuals are getting millions a year, and no one's being prosecuted. Why is that happening? Bankrupt the country. Here it is, Washington Post. You know the system's turning against them. IRS targeting groups that criticize the government. IG report says. But there's also about a chilling effect. They think you're so cowardly that if they simply report this, you'll shut up. Oh, no, they might come after me? Let them come after all of us. Let them put us all on a list. Who goes to the prison when we take the country back? Everybody not on the list. Put us all on the list. You understand, you pieces of trash?
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out Simply Safe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimplySafe.com. Simply Safe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimplySafe.com. Simply Safe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes, so there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but Simply Safe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimplySafe.com.
Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gate, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filters today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
Cal-Ben Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soap that is triple concentrated and made from the highest quality vegetable and coconut oils. See them on the web, www.5starsoap.com, or call 1-800-340-7091 for a free catalog and buy American-made products. Order the sampler, a 1 to 2 month supply, or get a 1 to 2 year supply of soaps for all your cleaning needs. You're getting soap products twice as good as what you're using now. This is an amazing deal, and you will love the way real soap makes your skin feel. Call 1-800-340-7091 or visit www.5starsoap.com. Alex and his staff have used these earth-friendly, pure soaps for years. See them on the web, www.5starsoap.com, or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order, it's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
You have found it, my friends, the tip of the spear, the front lines in the worldwide battle for liberty. I am a crazed worshiper of liberty and freedom. And I have sworn, crank it up right here, best part. I have sworn on the altar of liberty, eternal resistance over every form of tyranny over the mind of men. And that guitar from Deep Purple's good, isn't it? Hard to turn that off. All right, let me settle down a little bit and regroup here. I get so crazed in the first hour, it's hard to even get to all the news. Let me just real quick hit this. Document cam, please, then I'll get into the big breaking Bilderberg. IRS targeted groups that criticize the government. Inspector General report says, oh, you really think so? Next, they'll tell me that dolphins live in the ocean and other wild-eyed conspiracy theories. At various points over the past 2 years, Internal Revenue Service Officials. They're not servants, they're officials. Targeted nonprofit groups that criticize the government and sought to educate Americans about the U.S. Constitution. It's like satire. Oh, man. Educate about the Constitution? How evil. According to documents in an audit conducted by the agency's inspector general. And by the way, when I tell you we've been harassed around here, I just don't get into it and waste time and do their intimidating forum. But obviously, we've had our little issues with the Federal Reserve's henchmen. Doesn't matter if I hire the biggest CPA group in Austin. Doesn't matter if I've got tax lawyers. Doesn't matter if, even though it's a fraudulent tax, I overpay it. They're constantly trying to make stuff up. And because they've written the tax laws where they can say whatever they want. You know, if you're a big globalist, you pay zero taxes. But if you try to actually hire people and build a news organization, well, they rake you over the coals. And it just goes on to admit, this is the Washington Post, going, oh, yeah, I guess if you talk about the Constitution, the IRS comes after you. Gee, that sounds like a free country, doesn't it? Yeah, folks, they teach the police that Christians are terrorists and that they've got to, quote, prepare to confiscate their guns. And that made the state police a month ago flip out and go public in Colorado. See, they went too far. Imagine FEMA meetings. And the Christians, we may have to confiscate their guns en masse. And the state police were in the local news saying, is this a joke? Are you joking with us? No. State police all over the country. You've been federalized, and you've signed on now to go after people that are real Americans. So you're either going to follow your orders and be on the wrong side of history, or you're going to do something about it. And that just means say no. Blow the whistle. Speak out. Remember, they had all those sheriffs in Colorado. They're really trying to use Colorado as a test bed. And they said, oh, we're not going to enforce the state law. And so they introduced a bill that said, well, we'll have the Secret Service come in and enforce this and go after sheriffs. And then everybody got upset about that, so they ran headlines saying, conspiracy theorists say the Secret Service will go after sheriffs. You mean the bill they're trying to pass in the Colorado State House? Sponsored and pushed by the Justice Department? We got foreign governments, foreign corporations, and the federal government, that's a foreign corporation basically now, an occupied group, trying. They've got bills introduced in Texas to guarantee 90% occupancy in private prisons. It's a business. And this could bring them down, ladies and gentlemen. But again, I saw an article going, Obama doesn't care if there's controversy. He doesn't care. That's them trying to act, tough with bravado. Now, there's the Fox News headline, Colorado sheriffs plan lawsuit challenging state gun control laws. Oh, really? Will the Secret Service wear black sunglasses and suits? Aren't you scared of 007 sheriffs? It's all a facade of crooks. They've committed so many crimes in the federal government, ladies and gentlemen. That's why they're so dangerous, because they're going to go for it all, because they either all go to prison or they take over. You understand? This is committed. This is like when you get in a fight in a parking lot or something, you're not looking for it, but the guy's looking for it and he punches you upside the head. You're in a fight, folks, okay? And getting in a fetal position and sticking your thumb in your mouth and the other thumb somewhere else is not, I guess that could be the new national sign, actually. One thumb here and the other. Yeah, I mean, look, that is not going to deliver you to Valhalla. So I'm going to cover this more in the next hour with Katherine Albrecht. Obamacare, taxpayers must report personal health info to IRS. Oh, now, remember they denied death panels, they denied IRS. It's all in the bill. And now they're saying, yeah, we're going to pass your health records around to whoever wants them. And it turns out in the campaign, tax info was illegally used against candidates, especially Tea Party libertarians all over America. Gee, the White House run Media Matters, who isn't pertinent and doesn't have an audience, but it's important because it is admittedly written by the White House. That's White House talking points. They say, let's break in to alternative media and destroy it. They think you're so dumb, they publicly parade around talking about espionage. They're listening to me right now. They publicly engage in espionage against the free press of this republic. They're in the Washington Post going, yeah, we target people that talk about the Constitution. The Constitution is America. The Constitution is the republic. The Constitution binds down the government. Declaration of Independence, demonized by FEMA. Bill of Rights, Constitution, all of it. These people are the enemy, ladies and gentlemen. Do they need to wear foreign uniforms before you figure that out? It's not rhetoric when I say they're spying on you. It's not rhetoric when I say they're persecuting people. It's not rhetoric. The best place to get the coverage on IRS Gate, on Enemies List Gate, is drudgereport.com. Let's punch it up. A new enemies list. That's the top headline. IRS begins targeting conservatives in March of 2010. That's what the Inspector General says. Try 30 years ago. Probe expands to groups opposed to government teaching Constitution. Yeah, don't have groups teaching that. Security scrutiny deeper than thought. Kept shifting targets. Agency accused of leaking confidential tax documents during election. They did it publicly. Flashback. Romney donor vilified by Obama campaign. Then subjected to 2 audits. And then they've got Democrats bragging and defending it, saying it's a good idea, and statements they've made about how they need to use the IRS on it. Hell, I just remembered saying that. And we're going to Paul Watson with the biggest report ever. I just remembered they have talked about on MSNBC when I've seen them using the IRS against Tea Party groups and how it's wrong that they're tax exempt and promoting their political view. How about the Constitution, you punks? I mean, look, it's just like Fast and Furious. They bragged about Fast and Furious 2 years before it broke and then said they never had the press conferences where they all admitted to the program. That's how dumb they think you are. Ladies and gentlemen, the administration is going down unless they stage a terror attack. Rand Paul declares Obama is working with anti-American globalists to basically overthrow America. Yes, 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 yes. That is what is going to beat them. The truth. Their attack is so outrageous, so over the top. We're going to Katherine Albrecht at about 15 after. Let her know. Keeping Watson until then. Their attack is so naked, so brazen, so out in the open that people don't respond to it properly because it's hard to believe it's happening. And they're like, oh, he's discredited. No, he's not discredited. His star politically is shooting up like a rocket because he's telling it like it is. Same thing, Ted Cruz. And they go, oh, Ted Cruz is discrediting conservatives and libertarians. No, he's not. He's energizing them. Whatever they tell you is discrediting, that's what you've got to go with. Oh, don't be associated with Alex Jones. That guy's discredited. Oh, yeah, I'm real discredited. There's also an article on drudgereport.com about a giant drill they're doing at an amusement park, FEMA, for martial law. And there's another article Drudge was linked to from Infowars.com dealing with more drills, training where Tea Partiers and parents and homeschoolers are going to attack public schools. How do you demonize a group? Well, you just go train the police they're bad. So that's all coming up. We're going to look at how they use your data. And why is Google at the heart of Bilderberg, the shadow corporate, illegal, crony capitalist, anti-free market group? Why are they at the heart of it? I'll tell you why they're at the heart of it. Because they are the unofficial NSA where they're getting people to opt in to waiving their rights and being spied on. But even when you have the privacy settings and tell Google no, it's on record hacking into everybody's computer and stealing all your data. Photos, passwords, mobile cars driving around. They're NSA vehicles, really. Globalist, private, corporate, NSA, fraudulent, felony, every millisecond committing systems worldwide. On record, driving around with back doors built into Apple, built into Microsoft, built into everything but some of the other systems like Linux. And they're going around jacking and stealing everything, and then they don't get in trouble for it. But see, it's don't be evil, a cute little Google. And Google has, hippies working there and metrosexual trendies. And they've got ping pong, and they've got foosball, and they've got video games. And they've got movies coming out with comedians about how Google's friendly, and they drink beer and have fun, and they're sweetie pies. All to be non-threatening. That's their uniform, while they're really the technocrats able to predict what mass movements are going to do. And that's why now, punching it up on screen for TV viewers, every radio listener has got to go to Infowars.com and get this article out to everyone they know. Because when we get news this big, we don't ever tend to really hype it up like we should. And if you don't hype something up, nobody pays attention to it. This is big. Our sources for years, and we've gone to Switzerland and confirmed it, some of it's come out at Davos, it's come out in the news, that Google was more and more absorbing Bilderberg, and that the old robber baron technocrats, David Rockefeller, Zbigniew Brzezinski, the CFR, were passing things on to the technocrats and people like Eric Schmidt. And if you go to Infowars.com, we have photos, we have video from there at the Grove Resort and Hotel, where they ran major OSS operations in World War II, you name it, where Bilderberg 3 years ago, every year plans Arab Springs and revolutions. They need people power. So they are creating the system to track, control, surveil you, and know your dreams, to then see trends and pre-program you. All packaged as if it's non-threatening and trendy, because look, Warren Buffett's got an ice cream cone, and look, Google's drinking beer, and they've got guys with metrosexual, rainbow socks on. So, but behind closed doors, folks, they're globalist operatives saluting in military formation. That's our intel from inside Microsoft, from inside Google, inside all of it. These are military operations. I mean, I know people that have been in the meetings. There are top generals in there, cybersecurity, all of it. This is unbelievable. And I told Watson 3 weeks ago, I said, you've got to get there, because they're already setting up. And he was visiting family in France for a couple of weeks, working from France. And then he got back, and he finally got there, and it was the mother lode of the employees, managers, because it's all hiding in plain view. The public is in such a trance. They don't see guard shacks being set up and checkpoints, and they're just like, oh, yes, we staged the Arab Spring here. We're bringing in global government. We have recordings of this. Oh, yes, Google runs Bilderberg, and we're so important. The mayors and the news going, oh, I'm so glad Bilderberg's coming here. We're so prestigious. Oh, protesters are so evil. Paul Watson, this segment, next segment for 15 minutes the next hour, you've got the floor as we expose this. I know you've got part 2 tomorrow, but we've got the agenda, everything, and this is confirming what our sources told us really 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, and 3 weeks ago. And I'm so glad you got over there to report on this, and the photos and video are up on Infowars.com. I know I'm ranting here, but I mean, look at the IRS with our health records now and spying on people. And imagine Google makes them, look like babies, look like amoebas compared to a T-Rex in the damage they can do. Paul Watson.
Well, that's right, Alex. I mean, Google really is setting itself up as, the beast system. And we went to the Grove Hotel in Hertfordshire on Friday expecting to dig up some dirt about Bilderberg. We actually ended up uncovering an even bigger story, which is the fact, as you said, Bilderberg, along with other high-profile networks, are being merged into Google. And in fact, we discovered that the Google Zeitgeist Conference, which has been described by the London Independent as a cuddlier version of the Bilderberg Group, is taking place in about a week's time. I think it begins at the same location as Bilderberg does, just 10 days after.
And again, there's that meme. There's that meme. It's cuddly. They're breaking into your computers. It's run by the Pentagon and Northcom and foreign governments. We've got your medical records. We're going to use them. We're going to steal your bank accounts, too. We want to know where all your money's at. NSA admits they're spying on us without warrants through Google. But it's cuddly, Paul.
Well, here's the fact. I mean, Schmidt was obviously a major donor to Obama's political campaigns. They actually offered him the position of Treasury Secretary. He turned it down. He was a major advisor to Obama's political campaign. And in Britain, Google representatives have met with the current Conservative government 23 times since 2010. So both in America and in Britain, the Google government relationship is cozier than ever. And in fact, David Cameron, 4 years before he became Prime Minister, addressed the Google Zeitgeist Conference in 2006. Chancellor George Osborne visited and gave a speech at Google Zeitgeist in 2011. 2 weeks later, he was in Switzerland at the Bilderberg conference in St. Moritz. So the crossover is clear. Bill Clinton, a major Google Zeitgeist speaker, of course, he was at the 91 Bilderberg meeting. They groomed him before he became president. And just it goes on and on. Prince Charles, the memberships at the top are basically the same. So this is why we say Bilderberg is being merged into Google. That's why we coined the term Googleberg. And it's all part of this technocratic revolution that Eric Schmidt brags about at these Google Zeitgeist conferences.
And they also brag that they're going to have web IDs and taxes selectively enforced to shut down their competition and ban people off the web that are troublemakers. And Paul, again, our sources, and we confirmed this in Switzerland, we confirmed this last year, more and more the old attendees are dying or leaving, and it is Google, it is Facebook, it is Apple. And now from our sources, they said go there. Basically, it's a mega Bilderberg meeting. Meetings before, during, and after, and they're passing the torch to Google. This is a big deal. And now you were able to confirm from our source what's on the agenda. And we also indexed that with some WikiLeaks information. I mean, this is big.
Well, exactly. We've got the agenda. And we've also got reports like the one out of the London Telegraph, which described Google Zeitgeist as, quote, one of the most high-powered gatherings of business leaders, thinkers, and those that are considered to generally shape the global future. Another report compared it to the Davos Economic Forum, which just happened in January. So this is a major, major conference. It's almost exactly the same as Bilderberg. It's closed to the public. The hotel has to organize with state security to protect the function. The public aren't allowed anywhere near it, and yet hardly anybody knows about it. People have started to lift the veil from Bilderberg, which is probably why they're trying to merge it into these, as you said, trendy metrosexual groups. I called it the rebranding of authoritarian anti-democratic power networks into trendy philanthropic style forums, because that's exactly what it is. If you go and watch the Google Zeitgeist speeches, there's a YouTube channel where they release what they want to put out there. It's basically Eric Schmidt saying, look, we know people are constantly glued to their smartphones, but that's not enough. I mean, even though all the studies show it's making people desperately unhappy, it's literally rewiring their brains. He says that's not enough, and he wants a complete transhumanist future where forget Google Glass. There's going to be a Google chip implanted in your brain. He wants cars that drive themselves, obviously tracking your every movement.
Oh yeah, this gives them total control. And tell folks the photos you and others took. I've got them on screen for TV viewers of the transhumanist dead body being taken over by the robot. And the message of the sculpture is that the old human is dead, and then the machine rewires as it kills humanity. This is the technocratic plan, and this is where they like to meet. I mean, this is unbelievable, all the videos and photos you've got in your report at Infowars.com.
Well, the hotel is surrounded by a vast, sprawling estate, 300 acres, an 18-hole golf course, and these beautiful gardens, but they're full of these weird statues. As you mentioned, one is a half-human, half-skeleton crawling out of a pond. There are other kind of transhumanist statues in that garden. And just the whole place is very strange, to say the least. It's extremely ornate and beautiful. Inside, we managed to get a look at some of the conference rooms. Actually, in the major conference room in the hotel, you could see they were rigging up something in the roof. They were obviously setting it up for a major conference, which is probably the Google Zeitgeist. But one of the hotel managers actually told us that they've got 4 or 5 major conferences coming up in May, June, and July. One's Google, one's Bilderberg. We don't know what the others are. but this seems to be a central hub for the elite's agenda in Britain. It's literally about a 15-minute drive from Heathrow Airport. So the
word we got is that look at this, it's bigger than Bilderberg. There's a merger, and that they're basically permanently moving into that area because it's surrounded by the old OSS, MI6 command bases in the area. Basically, that entire area has been a globalist command base all along.
Yeah, in fact, on their own website, they brag about how people have been eating and mating there for 9,000 years. So it's obviously a very sacred place for them. And it's a routine haunt of celebrities and global elitists. In fact, it's renowned as a place where celebrities and politicians go to not be bothered. In fact, when we went there, the entire Manchester City football team was staying the night before the FA Cup final, which is Britain's version of the Super Bowl for soccer. So rich, very rich people. I mean, the presidential suite is £1,000 a night. That's, $1,700 a night. It's a major sprawling complex. It's completely different to Chantilly or San Moritz, which were relatively small in comparison. And the access is basically terrible in terms of a protester, from the viewpoint of a protester, because there's two long driveways on both the front and back entrances, and it's very difficult to not only get near the hotel, but there are few areas to stand around it, as there was in San Moritz. There was a huge embankment which you could get 300 protesters on. Looks like we're just going to have to stand along the side of the road. It's not going to be great in terms of congregation, but that's why they've chosen this venue, because of its remoteness and because of the terrible access for anybody who tries to get near it to protest.
Now, Paul, that's the difference between half empty, half full. I agree with you, but that actually makes it better, because you've only got two entrances. The back entrance is the shorter one. We'll be able to station reporters on both ends of that, and then that makes it harder for them to get past us without us getting video. We've also got to get the red filters for all the cameras, folks, so you can shoot through the tent or your cameras won't catch them. But if you put a red filter over your camera, you will have them. Just a little tip to all the demonstrators and people. And I've never seen such demonization by the mayor, this woman, saying, "Oh, they're so royal, we're so lucky to have them coming here, but the rabble undoubtedly will be violent. Scum protesters." I mean, I can't believe she's in the... Plus, I thought Bilderberg didn't exist. Usually they just say, "Oh, there's insane people imagining the helicopters landing and the troops. These insane schizophrenics have come to town." But instead she's like, "This rabble, I'm so glad that... And thank God we're elite enough to have them, though. I'm so honored." I'm sorry, Paul. I'm shifting into my Englishness for a moment.
Well, I mean, she's come out and basically demonized the protesters as being violent. There's never been a violent incident at a Bilderberg protest. There was some weird thing in Switzerland where they tried to frame up some people for a bomb threat, which turned out to be nonsense.
Yeah, that was staged. That was staged by their people, yeah. That was an excuse to move everybody back. And they'll do that here, too. "It's for your safety. Get back now, mate. I'll have to arrest you and have you deported. We're protecting criminals inside, busy stealing our pension funds and overrunning the country with third world populations. Now get back, you Yankee scum. I'll have to show you a little bit of the power of the Royal Guard Brigade. And a delicious scotch to quaff it down and deal with the troublemaker. Look at that pumpkin-headed Yank. That's the one, Alex Jones. I want you to know, young man, we'll be watching you continually while we protect the transhumanists putting cancer viruses in our children's shots."
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
A little over a year ago, I began to do a lot of research into why, even if I had a pretty good-sized meal, that I was still starving. And my research led me to a well-known fact that most of the soils that we grow our crops on here in the United States and across the industrialized world are almost completely depleted of almost all of the key minerals and trace elements that our bodies need to rebuild themselves, fight off cancer, and be healthy. I then searched out the best vitamin and mineral company out there. and discovered Youngevity. The Youngevity products are designed to give you the real nutrition you need, and once you've got that, you don't have to eat as much to be satisfied. I've lost 37 pounds in 2 months, simply getting the vitamins and minerals I need. Check it out for yourself. It's incredible. Go to InfoWarsTeam.com today and order your first canister of Beyond Tangy Tangerine Complete Multivitamin Mineral Complex Dietary Supplement. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, Katherine Albrecht is going to be with us about 10 or 15 after. Paul Watson is with us, breaking undoubtedly what is some of the biggest Bilderberg news ever. Google is merging with it. I mean, we know they've been merging, but now they're officially merging it with a total surveillance grid. They're demonizing demonstrators. Here's the Watford Observer. And for new listeners, the Bilderberg Group is one of the top globalist crime syndicate meeting places where they buy and sell our politicians in violation of federal law. The Grove Hotel, set to host Bilderberg outside London, one of the most elite hotels in the world. Watson went and stayed there Friday night, and she talks about how, I'm worried about violence. These protesters are always violent. But she goes, I feel lucky that we're elitist enough to have them. I'm concerned about the use of police resources, but it's good. The Grove has been deemed a prestigious enough venue. Oh, so they've gone from Bilderberg not existing to it's prestigious enough. Perhaps I can chew on the skin growths of David Rockefeller's big toe. The mayor probably wants to suck on David Rockefeller's toes. I'm sorry, folks. A little humor. I'm sorry. Let's go back to Paul Watson. Paul, I cannot say how big this is. I mean, we've got their agenda early. Our sources have been confirmed. It's a giant Google nest. You said you saw them, setting up guard nest, and they talked a lot to you the first day. You got a lot of intel. Then they obviously had it under surveillance and freaked out the next day. You've got a lot of this recorded, too, if anybody doubts it.
Well, yeah, isn't it ironic that the Watford mayor is talking about violence when the president of the Supreme Court of Italy and the guy who investigated the assassination attempt on the Pope came out a few weeks ago and said the Bilderberg Group is involved in terrorist attacks in Gladio. I've got the evidence. Watford Observer's not talking about that, are they? They're talking about non-existent violence from peaceful protests.
Shut your mouth, rebel! You will kneel to the Queen now and groom the stool. Why don't you beg to groom the Queen's stool? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't Google that, by the way, if you're eating your dinner at the moment.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The other thing, obviously, is when we talked to this hotel manager, he bragged about the fact that Google recruited and met and planned with these same people who worked for Google. One of them was called Wael Ghonim, who started the phony contrived colour revolutions, the Arab Spring in Tunisia and Egypt. So this is the central hub where they plan all their social media manipulations and these phony revolutions around the globe. And they're quite happy to brag about it, apparently.
Well, let's not forget, too, I got thrown a day early out of the Bilderberg Hotel in Virginia last year. And it doesn't matter, though, because we've got so many great auxiliary reporters that you've been working with for years there that they're not going to stop us getting the information out. And again, if they try to block me coming into England, it only makes it a bigger story. I actually hope I get to come see you, hang out, see all the folks. I know people want me to go speak at one of these events they're having, one of the satellite events to it. But we win either way. The only way we lose, Paul, is by not engaging these people.
Well, exactly, which is why we need as many people out there as possible. But we've also got some of the leaked agenda that they're going to be talking about, which focuses mainly on Iran and Syria, obviously. They're talking about airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities within 3 years if Tehran doesn't give up its nuclear program. They're also obviously talking about arming the Syrian
Tell you what,
rebels.
stay there. Come back. I'm going to give you the floor for 5 minutes, and we're getting Katherine Albrecht on. Break down what intel we've got on the agenda. And, man, it's amazing the type of sources we have. People say, well, that's impossible. You know, how could you have sources? They'd be found out. People are sick of all this baloney. I mean, you're seeing whistleblowing on the IRS spying and intimidation. You're seeing whistleblowing on Benghazi. If people just find their fighting spirit, it's over for the Supreme Redcoat New World Order.
With health threats on the rise, such as West Nile virus, MRSA, CRE, and now the new bird flu recently discovered in China, there has never been a more crucial time to support your immune system. Supernatural Silver is a revolutionary new silver solution that is clinically shown to be several hundred times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver, and is powerful enough to help protect you and your family. Supernatural Silver is scientifically supported, highly effective, and perfect for everyday use inside the body as well as out. The Science Digest Journal says silver is our mightiest germ fighter. It is virtually non-toxic and is emerging as a wonder of modern medicine. Supernatural Silver is the #1 choice of thousands for improved health and immune system support. To find out how Supernatural Silver can change your life, go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SPRING2013 for 20% off, and like us on Facebook.
You may be arrested and/or subject to other police action.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on Earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv. Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gates, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, folks, Katherine Albrecht's going to be joining us, expert on Google and government spying, and tying it all into the IRS enemies list gate, where the Washington Post is being forced to report, yes, it's true, Inspector General report, the IRS was ordered to, quote, target people that promote the Constitution. That is the essence of treason. To attack the Constitution is the lawful framework of government. So if you promote the law, you promote justice, you're targeted. Sounds like the devil, if the devil was in control. I want you to target people that support the rule of law and justice. Get them now. Drive them into submission. This is the Twilight Zone level of garbage we deal with. Paul Watson has broken. I asked him 3 weeks ago to get down there. He got down there this weekend. Our sources years ago, and we confirmed it in Switzerland and St. Moritz, said, look, they've already merged with Google. It's going to be public soon. They're going to transform themselves into this technocracy. They're going to sell it as if it's trendy. And they're just going to hide this new system in plain view. They're going to tax the web, control it. This is the future. We sent Paul and another reporter in. I'm not going to even name all the reporters because I don't want them getting identified and shut down when we try to go back into the hotel. And outside London, probably one of the most expensive and elitist hotels in the world, the Grove, they are having the Google meetings before and after and during Bilderberg. So it's totally transforming itself into GOOGLEBERG. And this is private corporate interest setting the agenda and running our governments. They're the ones that control the central banks. They're the ones calling for a $100 trillion every decade in new taxes paid in carbon taxes to them. They're the people trying to organize and run your life. They're the ones that want to reduce population numbers. We've got articles on that today. Paul Watson, tell us what we learned from our sources inside the Grove, but also outside, confirming in just triplicate the intel we had and documents we have. Tell people what's in the report up at Infowars.com on GOOGLEBERG and where all this is going.
Well, first off, it's not that snobby inside the hotel. The actual staff are really friendly. So I'm guessing when Bilderberg members are rude to them, which they habitually are, then they'll want to, come back to us and maybe tell us about it. But we got on well with all the staff. They were really nice. So it's not as snobby as you'd imagine. But with regard to Google and Bilderberg, there's two terms that they're throwing around right now, which they'll be throwing around at the Bilderberg conference. One is cyber resilience, which means cyber security, which means more state control over the internet. Of course, all the major cyber attacks have been launched by the US and Israel and then used as a reason for cyber security legislation, even though they're behind the attacks. Another one they're talking about is, quote, digital wildfires. They're scared stiff about losing control over the flow of information. And they're actually talking about setting up a ministry of truth for the internet, which was the same thing advocated by Bill Clinton, Bilderberg and Google Zeitgeist member back in 2011. So they want an organization that vets what can be published on the internet as news as part of this agenda to stomp out the, quote, digital wildfires.
And by the way, Google delisted us from Google News, 4 years ago? So, and they've done all sorts of stuff to try to delist us. They're now trying to say that our sites can't be, visited. They're not safe when it turns out it's Google software doing it. I mean, these people are simply amazing, and they want to be the internet. They want to decide. That's their answer to the people's revolution of information is total control. It is outrageous. All of the press should be there. And if the press isn't there or the press doesn't cover this, then they're part of the problem. I mean, this is so outrageous to have these technocrats meeting with government, trying to take over the web and dominate it. And Google has committed so many crimes. It's incredible, Paul.
Yeah, and then the media comes out and says, oh, it's just a talking shop. Well, that's not correct, because the former NATO Secretary General, Willie Claes, admitted in 2010 that Bilderberg attendees discuss and come to a consensus, and then they're told to implement those decisions in their relative spheres of influence. So they go there, they agree what they're going to do, and then they implement it. And he admitted that in 2010, and he was a member. Also, of course, Etienne Davignon bragged about how the euro single currency was a brainchild of Bilderberg. In fact, documents going back as far as 1955 confirm that not only the EU, but the single currency itself, which wasn't even introduced until 92 as an idea, formally introduced in banknotes and coins in 2002. They were talking about it in 1955, a year after they first met. So don't tell me that they don't have power and influence and that they don't implement it, because we've got numerous examples where they do, and we've documented them.
You're absolutely right, Watson. Wow. Now, as soon as you leave us here in a few minutes, we're getting Katherine Albrecht on. But anything else you'd like to point out that's in this big report with videos, photos? This is a major investigative report. You should probably just add a note at the top. By the way, this just culminates years of investigative researching and reporting. I don't want people to just think, oh, it's another article. This is groundbreaking. This is the technocratic group that wants to control and dominate our future. Horrible authoritarians trying to pose as non-threatening liberals when they're anything but. And I know you've got more parts coming out in the next few days, but it's time to really call on everybody worldwide to travel there to peacefully protest and to outnumber the provocateurs and to really, by the way, there's never been violence, but if something happens, you know it's staged the way this mayor is talking. I mean, this is really creepy.
Well, exactly. And I mean, there are several more videos to come. We've got walkthroughs of the hotel. We've got more videos of the outside. But with regard to the agenda, they're probably going to talk about the revolution of 3D printing and, again, ways to control it after the shutdown of Defense Distributor just a few days ago, because they don't want that democratization of production. They don't want people printing off their own weapons, their own tools. They're going to talk about the threat of a global pandemic caused in part by rising resistance to antibiotics. But, you know, given the role of pharmaceutical corporations like Baxter and others, which are represented at Bilderberg, you're talking about a global pandemic, then they're going to be the first suspects because they routinely accidentally release viruses in labs, then try and send them out all over the world, and it gets buried, it gets hushed up. So they're talking about global pandemic. They're talking about bombing Iran's nuclear facilities within the next 3 years. Kissinger is pushing for that. And then you remember in 2011, before the fall of Gaddafi, Bilderberg gave the final green light to go into Tripoli with the al-Qaeda terrorists they were supporting and getting that done. It happened 3 months after Bilderberg 2011. So they're obviously going to talk about arming the Syrian rebels and trying to topple Bashar al-Assad in Syria, because the Syrian military has been winning major battles in the past few weeks, and it looks like the tide is going against the FSA Obama-backed terrorists. So they're going to talk about
what do you make
Syria.
of this headline? This is out of the London Telegraph. Under the black flag of al-Qaeda, the Syrian city ruled by gangs of extremists, and admits our government and others put al-Qaeda in charge. And again, it was Google helped fund and run the Arab Spring from this very hotel that they use as a command base. Paul Watson, we're going to get you back on tomorrow with part 2 of the report. This is a groundbreaking report, listeners. Please get it out to everyone. Let's bring in Katherine Albrecht. Katherine, we're going to break here in a few minutes. You'll be with us for the rest of the hour. This is breaking news. Our source gave us. We went there. We confirmed it. Got incredible intel because Google and Bilderberg use this as a substation now in Watford, England, confirming so much. Now on the heels of the IRS spying, this really shows how these technocrats use their surveillance of us against the American people as a tool of tyranny. I guess it's been said many times, if you don't have your privacy, there's no chance you can be a free person.
Well, and that's why I always say privacy is not an end, it's a means, and the end is really freedom, and they know that, and for them, taking away your privacy is not an end.
Yeah, notice how they get privacy and taxpayer-paid-for security as if we're terrorists, but then we can't have any privacy.
Yeah, that's a good point, isn't it? So, yeah, but I think they recognize if they take away our privacy that they can also take away our freedom, because that's really, they go hand in hand. I mean, privacy in and of itself isn't worth too much unless it leads to you having a better life that's not under the thumb of somebody else, which is why we all want to hang on to it.
Well, sure, and they want to know what you think, what you're into, so they can tailor their propaganda. I mean,
well, absolutely. That way, you know, it's a great example of that. In Spy Chips, our book, we talked about how the soft drink companies want to put, actually it was Procter & Gamble, wants to put a reader device in your fridge so they can tell when you drink the last Coke, so that they can run an ad on your television for Pepsi. And once the cable TV, you know, they just send an ad going, hey, the person on, you know, with this account number needs to have an ad for Pepsi right now. And then they can follow up and see how well the ad worked because they're
and then that conditions you that it's all non-threatening, as the former CIA director said, your refrigerator spying on you. They're just mainlining it like it's cute and funny. And that's what our inside sources have told us. And then they actually do that via PR, confirming our sources. They're like, oh, we're sweet, though, when we spy on you.
It's market research because, and it starts off with products, and then it works its way into worldviews, because what you do, as soon as you can figure out, all right, you're in the market for soda, let me see if I can get you to switch to Pepsi. Let me try these 5 different ads. Oh, that one worked. Okay. So now I know in the future, anybody with your demographics, I'll run that ad. Look how effective that is, and they can follow up and see if it worked. And you can do the same thing with people's political views, their worldviews, the things they care about. You see, gee, a whole bunch of people are having this one particular view. Let's try feeding them a set of ads, feeding them content on television, feeding them certain Google results, feeding them in a particular way to mold their minds, and then we can follow up and see. And now,
then they can slowly.
Do they go to the websites now we want them to go to? Do they make the changes we want them to make?
Okay, absolutely. We're going to break down why Google and stuff now only shows you what it thinks you want to see. That's to make you comfortable, and then they slowly change it. Stay with us.
We all know that Berkey water purification systems are the most trusted name in water filtration. As an authorized Berkey dealer for over 6 years and serving thousands of satisfied customers, the Berkey Guy offers amazing specials for Berkey water filtration systems. The Berkey Light systems include a set of self-sterilizing and recleanable black purification elements that purify water by removing chlorine, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, and parasites to non-detectable levels and remove harmful chemicals such as herbicides and pesticides. Order the Berkey Light system today, complete with 2 black Berkey elements for only $231, and the Berkey Guy will ship your order free of charge. With the purchase of a Berkey Light, the Berkey Guy is also offering a set of fluoride and arsenic filters for only $39.99. That's over 30% off the retail price. Call the Berkey Guy at 1-877-886-3653. That's 1-877-886-3653. Or order online at GoBerkey.com. That's GoBerkey.com today.
Man, I love that buttstock pouch on your Mosin Nagant. Where'd you get it?
Strike Hard Gear. They have lots of hard-to-find gear for us comm block shooters, like chest rigs and pouches for your SKS duckbill magazines.
Set your sights on StrikeHardGear.com. Tough tactical gear for your Soviet-style weapon that's made in the USA. Plus a no-questions-asked 30-day money-back guarantee and lifetime replacement warranty. Enter GCN for a 5% discount on all products at StrikeHardGear.com.
We the people grow cotton, weave fabric, engrave ink, embed strips and fibers to protect from counterfeit, then carting to a private bank, having it led back at interest, forcing taxes to service debt. This capitalism, or was Jefferson correct when stating a central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army? Ted Anderson, I'm placing a free silver dollar in a book that explains our monetary system. Call for your copy, 800-686-2237. It's time to understand the system. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Introducing a 30-day emergency food supply for only $99. At 30dayfoodsupply.com, you can purchase Oregon Trail Foods' 1-month supply of high-quality, nutritious, and healthy emergency meals for less than $100. These vegetarian meals are all natural, non-GMO, high in carbs and protein, and are packed with oxygen absorbers in Mylar pouches. They take up to 70% less space than number 10 cans, have a 20-year shelf life, and huge portions, over twice the serving size of some competitors' meals. Oregon Trail Foods and 30dayfoodsupply.com keep prices low by buying direct from producers in Oregon and then pass the savings on to you. Purchase a 30-day 90-serving emergency food supply for only $99 this month, and $10 ships your entire order to the lower 48. Call 541-673-6666 or visit 30dayfoodsupply.com, where they make preparedness affordable. 30dayfoodsupply.com. Got it? Get it. Go to 30dayfoodsupply.com.
With health threats on the rise, such as West Nile virus, MRSA, CRE, and now the new bird flu recently discovered in China, there has never been a more crucial time to support your immune system. Supernatural Silver is a revolutionary new silver solution that is clinically shown to be several hundred times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver, and is powerful enough to help protect you and your family. Supernatural Silver is scientifically supported, highly effective, and perfect for everyday use inside the body as well as out. The Science Digest Journal says silver is our mightiest germ fighter. It is virtually non-toxic and is emerging as a wonder of modern medicine. Supernatural Silver is the #1 choice of thousands for improved health and immune system support. To find out how Supernatural Silver can change your life, go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SPRING2013 for 20% off, and like us on Facebook.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've realized why this radio show is successful. It's because I'm real. Despite all of my hyperventilating, all of my getting excited, people know it's real. And I think about Google and all the crimes they've committed, all the things they've done, all the dirty tricks they've played on me over the years. And I don't mean all the Google employees, but the people at the very top of it. And then I know who they are. I know their plan. I've read the Internet 2 meetings for like 15 years online. I've tracked them. I've interviewed all the experts. And then I hear Katherine Albrecht bringing stuff up, and I start literally stuttering and gibbering because it's making me so mad. It'd be like if I went to my neighbor's house and went, hey, there's guys in your backyard, robbing your shed, stealing all your lawn equipment. And he said, well, how do you know that? Well, I mean, they got a truck. They're loading it up. Did you sell that to somebody? I know we're being robbed, okay? And I'm sitting here watching it year after year, decade after decade. And now they're talking about how they're going to censor the web and control us in the news, not just from my Bilderberg sources. And they're using all our data, and they're surveilling us, and they are tracking us, and they're bad guys. People are like, well, what do I have to hide? Well, you don't want bad guys to know when you've left your house so they can rob you. It's the same thing. These are bad guys. This is a short segment, long segment coming up. Katherine, how big is this tied into the IRS, though? Because if people think the IRS targeting folks that, quote, promote the Constitution, that's in the Washington Post today, see, that's a bad guy. That's a bad government because the Constitution binds them down. It's like WikiLeaks has the quote of Kissinger in a letter at Bilderberg saying, the illegal we do immediately, the unconstitutional takes longer. These are criminals. So, of course, they're saying, go after people that want to bind us down with law. Katherine Albrecht, again, Harvard-educated doctor of science and technology and policy, joins us. How big is this IRS thing tied into this?
Well, where are you going to find the people? This is really what it comes down to today, because in 3 generations ago, even 1 generation ago, if you wanted to figure out who are all the groups who hold these particular views, then you would go to, I don't know, the IRS, the FBI, the NSA, the CIA, the local police department. Where do you go today if you want to figure out who believes what or who thinks what or who holds what views? You would be stupid to go anywhere other than Google. Because what Google really is, and this is when it finally hit me, Alex, and all of a sudden, like, all these years I've been kind of trying to understand what Google's all about, just crystallized for me, is back in the 1980s, I have an undergraduate degree in marketing, international marketing, and this was before the internet, and all my professors said, you're never going to be, your biggest challenge is in marketing is market research, because people won't tell you what they're thinking about, right? So if I were to call up somebody listening to the show right now and say, hey, listen, I'm a market researcher, just have a bunch of questions for you. Do you have 20 minutes for me? They'd say, first of all, no. And I'd say, no, really, just bear with me, please. Do you have erectile dysfunction? Ever fought with your spouse? Do you have any, sexually transmitted diseases? Dealing with bankruptcy? Maybe you're, maybe you've got a kid that's on drugs. You would say, take a hike. I'm not answering any of that stuff. It's none of your business. So what Google has hit on, and once I finally understood this, all of a sudden everything clicked into place, is Google is not a search engine. They are not an information provider. They're a market research company. And back in the 80s, we couldn't figure out how to get the market research information, but Google hit on the most brilliant thing that has ever, it blows my mind. I sit here in awe of just the genius evil of these guys. What they did was they said, well, I know how we can get people to tell us everything, like whether they've had an abortion or a miscarriage or a fight, or if they had, their deepest, darkest secrets they wouldn't tell anybody. What we do is we just put a little window on everybody's computer in the privacy of their own homes with the shades drawn. And then we let them type into it everything about themselves, and then we just capture it all. And I'm sure somebody said, well, how are you going to get them to do that? And they said, well, why don't we just answer all their questions? So the thing people need to understand, when you log on, and it's not just Google, it's Yahoo and Bing, because Microsoft's in on this too. They're all part of it. That when you log on and you ask a question, that they are not your mom. They do not exist. I mean, ask yourself, why are they answering all my questions for free? They're not your mom. They have no reason to want to give you anything. They do it because they want to know what's on your mind. Now, once they do that for market research purposes, because that's basically what they do, they sell us to marketers. So I've got a brand new, neon pencil that glows rainbow colors, and I want to know everybody who's interested in rainbow colors who's ever bought a pencil. And Google goes, oh yeah, I can give you that narrow little niche.
And again, the globalists are experts, Catherine, because they always fund their criminal operations with a free market thing, but that's only one sector, as you know, of what they're really doing. You read more of the internal corporate minutes of Google and others that have leaked. I know you know about these. They call it over-the-horizon time prediction or a crystal ball, and they now brag that they can tell the future with an individual 93% of the time, with mass groups 98% of the time. They know you're going to pull over at that steakhouse before you do. This is literally the Eye of Sauron.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Cal-Ben Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soap that is triple concentrated and made from the highest quality vegetable and coconut oils. See them on the web, www.5starsoap.com, or call 1-800-340-7091 for a free catalog and buy American-made products. Order the sampler, a 1 to 2 month supply, or get a 1 to 2 year supply of soaps for all your cleaning needs. You're getting soap products twice as good as what you're using now. This is an amazing deal, and you will love the way real soap makes your skin feel. Call 1-800-340-7091 or visit www.5starsoap.com. Alex and his staff have used these earth-friendly, pure soaps for years. See them on the web, www.5starsoap.com, or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out Simply Safe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimplySafe.com. Simply Safe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimplySafe.com. Simply Safe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes, so there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but Simply Safe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimplySafe.com.
I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones.
All right, Katherine Albrecht is our guest. It's also important to remember we are not funded by the globalists. We are not funded by the Bilderberg Group. We are not funded by the New World Order. We are funded by our sponsors that are mainly made in America, high-quality, companies. We are funded by you spreading the word. We are funded by you buying books, T-shirts, videos. By the way, I had them go out on the streets of Austin and pull another 1,000, because I put 80,000 on the streets of Central Texas, of the magazine. the May magazine because it sold out so quick. The ones that we sell in bulk at cost or for the subscription. We've had so many subscriptions come in that we're running out of the ones we held back for subscriptions. The next 12 issues, the May issue, Getting into False Flags, sold out. So we held back some to sell them as singles, but those sold out. So now I've sent the crew out to grab a bunch off the street that we put out last week. Most were already gone. So we've got a little under 1,000 left. You can buy individually with the 3 free bumper stickers inside each one. And then on top of it, I guess it's free if you pick it up on the street. And then we're also going to, again, hold some more of those back for people that subscribe at InfoWarsStore.com to InfoWars Magazine, which is a hard copy. And as print dies, or as they try to kill it, people are really valuing something that is printed, that they can hold, that's glossy, that's filled with graphics and documentation. It's basically a big color book. So again, InfoWarsStore.com, or you can simply call us toll free to subscribe to the magazine or get Pro Pure water filters with 10% promo code WATER, you name it, at InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. And don't forget, we have the most revolutionary, amazing vitamins and mineral supplements from Longevity, discounted at InfoWarsHealth.com. You can sign up there and get free shipping at InfoWarsHealth.com, or sign up and pay $10 and get a discount as a distributor at InfoWarsHealth.com or InfoWarsTeam.com. And there's also a toll-free number there on the site. So again, InfoWarsHealth.com or InfoWarsTeam.com. Wherever you're a new customer and have any comments or questions or help signing up, you can call 888-789-9277, 888-789-9277, or call customer service 24 hours a day, 888-636-9277. All right, going back to Dr. Katherine Albrecht, a talk show host right here on this network, continuing to look at what the IRS is doing. Again, if the IRS and Obama are in trouble using data to persecute people and using it against political candidates, imagine what's going on with Google. And their whole history, 14 years ago, set up by the NSA and CIA, that's a fact. But when I started covering that, they delisted me from Google News, which, again, is the future everyone is going to face if we let them convert to their technocratic takeover. So, Katherine, getting into this and where this is going and ways to defeat them and all the other facets to this, thank you for joining us. Break that down.
Well, you know, it's interesting because what used to be really hidden 10, 15 years ago when the Internet was first coming to life is now not only obvious because you and I have been talking about it for years, but now they're coming out and saying it. And I don't mean to just pick on Google. Google certainly deserves it, but I think we also need to take a look at what's going on with Yahoo and Bing, which is Microsoft, which is Bill Gates, who's got, I mean, you've done a great job of informing people about all the stuff Bill Gates is up to all over the world. So it's all kind of part of the same thing. Let me point something out that I'm sure you have millions of listeners right now who have Yahoo email accounts. And on June 1st, all of those millions of listeners in like 2 weeks here are going to have to sign up for the new version of Yahoo Mail. And I just want to read this one sentence off of Yahoo's new webpage here. Do I have to upgrade to the new version of Yahoo Mail? Listen to what they say. When you upgrade, you'll be accepting our communications terms of service and privacy policy. This includes the acceptance of automated content scanning and analyzing of your communications content. Now, this is the kind of thing that would have been buried. This is like paragraph 2 of their main page of, hey, upgrade. So it's no longer even hidden. That's the part that's blowing my mind, Alex, is you and I have been pulling this stuff out of the shadows and showing it to people for years, and people are like, oh, they'd never do that. I had one person, I remember when I was doing my doctoral research, I asked people, do you know what the supermarket card is for? Do you know that every time you scan that thing at your grocery store, they make a record of what you buy, and they can tell exactly the health profile of your family because of it? And I had people look me in the eye and say, that's not true, I don't believe it, that's conspiracy theory, I don't buy it, they're not the CIA. And, you know, I've got incontrovertible proof that that's exactly what they do. And now they're coming out and saying it openly. That's what they want to do. So now you've got articles in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times saying, yes, well, since we have these nutritional health profiles on every household in America, we're going to tie that in with Obamacare and use it, the frequent shopper cards, to monitor your health. Well, it's now the same thing with the email. They're now coming right out on Yahoo. And then I want to get into this Google patent that we were talking about behind the scenes here, that Google has now filed a patent to do the same thing, saying that not only are we going to be reviewing all your email, which they do through Gmail, it's in the fine print, every single email you send or receive, they are analyzing, just like Google here, content scanning and analyzing your communications content, but in real time, this Google patent, if you type something that they don't like, right there, as you're typing it, it will stop you from literally typing the words. Like a screen will pop up.
Unbelievable. Oh, it's already like iPhones won't let you send a cuss word or even, you know, say double E hockey sticks. I mean, this is the nanny state on steroids. And there's the headline exclusive. Google CIA invest a future of web monitoring. And folks, show people the headline so I can tell them the source on that. That's Wired magazine. I mean, these guys are out in the open on their power trip building this artificial control grid environment, just like they game the stock market with instant trading. They're doing the same thing here. This has got to stop.
So can you imagine that not only would they know if you were typing something bad in their minds, right? I believe in the Constitution. No, you can't say that. that merely writing the letters CONSTIT, they'd go, nope, and then a little nanny window would pop up. This is what they've patented now with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. It's a formally, officially signed, sealed, and delivered document from Google. And what they want to be able to do is say, no, as you're typing the words that we don't like, a little window pops up and says, we're sorry, you can't say that. You're going to have to rephrase it or just delete it or just not say it at all. So not only are they watching or planning to watch, well, already today they're reading and watching every single Google Gmail you send or receive. Even if you don't have a Google account, by the way, if you send an email to somebody with a Gmail account, you agree contractually to their terms of service, even though you haven't even read them because it didn't even cross your mind because you're not the one with the account. But if I send an email to somebody who has a Gmail account and it says, hi, my name's Katherine Albrecht, here's my social security number, for whatever reason, right? Maybe they're a banker, maybe they're my doctor, whatever. Then at that point, Google says, we own that information. And they'll strip it right out, even though it's my doctor's Gmail account. They'll strip out my information, take my social security number right out of that email, and pop it in the Katherine Albrecht account. And you may say, well, why would Katherine Albrecht have a Google account? I have news for people. Every single person on this globe has a Google account. They have one for all of us. Every person they can find, every house, every front of your home. They do Google Street View. They have a picture of the curtains hanging in your window.
And this is beyond 1984. Because they admit they're surveilling and creating detailed psychological algorithm profiles of everybody. And it's beyond 1984 because your smartphone, your appliances, the smart meters all surveil you. And if you don't let them put the smart meter on your house, they come and try to arrest you. And then they brag and call themselves technocrats and talk about how they're going to merge with machines and become God. They are literally on insane power trips.
It's crazy, right? And you're, of course, referring to Sergey and Larry saying, you know, what do you want Google to become? And their answer was like the mind of God. And then the guy that they just hired to head up their entire IT is the man, Ray Kurzweil, who believes that in 2045, humanity will merge with our machines and we'll have a singularity, at which point humanity will become immortal.
And by the way, it's not just Kurzweil. He's their guru and goes to the globalist meetings, and they believe it's actually going to be sooner. They just put that number out there, they say, so we don't get freaked out. Human culture is already over as we knew it because of TV. Now I go out in public, no one's talking. They're all on their smartphones, myself included. But at least I'm talking to people about the Matrix and how to fight it using the system. I'm not saying that's okay. They are just, parents don't even talk to their kids now. In between the TV, the video games, and the smartphones, the language is shrinking, Katherine. Where do you see this all ultimately going?
Well, you know, this is enslaving technology. I mean, I've got an article here about when they hired Ray Kurzweil onto Google. Ray Kurzweil plans to create a mind at Google and have it serve you. So this is this plan that there's going to be this artificial intelligence. Something else he said is that our technology will be, in a very short time, 1 billion times more powerful than it is today. And it's going to become so overwhelming that we will not be able to comprehend it. And the only way we're going to be able to catch up is by uploading ourselves into it, by actually dumping these packages of meat called bodies and becoming one with this technological web. And
well, listen, this is in my book, Descent into Tyranny. There was a 1977 Pentagon document with the World Federation of Scientists overseeing it. It was declassified in 2001 and then reclassified the next year. But they say we're all going to be in these tank pods hooked into wires, and that we'll power ourselves, and it'll end all war. And people are going, wait a minute, that's the Matrix. The Matrix is actually a movie talking about what they planned in the 70s.
Isn't it crazy? I know. And so I keep listening to Alex, everybody, because he gets this stuff years before anybody else does.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not bragging about it.
No, but
I don't
true.
get it. They declassified it. I mean, they're going to put us in tank pods.
Yeah.
I mean, they're crazy.
And the reason that you get that is because you got your nose to the ground and they tell us these things. You know, they come out and actually say, here's what we're going to do. And initially they say it in places that are hard to find, and you got to really look, and you got to be aware.
And then if you cover it, the media says you're a liar, knowing people won't go find where you got it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's right. No, it's true. It's true. And then they try to say, no, you're a conspiracist, or you're creating outrageous scenarios to scare people. And then 2-3 years later, they put it right on their homepage, like Google's doing, or like Yahoo is doing.
Oh, yeah. 8 years ago, Watson wrote about their patent to have a camera and microphone listen to you with keyword software. And now everywhere I know says that it must be listening because it knows what they're doing from what they're talking about in the room. And now Google admits it.
See, there you have it. And, you know, like, once again, this Yahoo Mail, you know, this includes your acceptance of automated content scanning and analyzing your communication content. Who looks at that and goes, oh, okay. I mean, this is, let's tie this back to the IRS issue. So we know, because of this IRS thing, that governments, and this is what they've always done, they like identifying their opponents so that they can then single them out and punish them and harm them. And it may be that they punish them with an IRS audit, which is pretty darn punishing, or it may be that they punish them with the black limo drives up at night and disappears half your family members. But governments punish people who oppose their regime. And this is the problem that you have when you are letting them know every correspondent that you have, when you're letting them know every personal thought, because you're sending it all through these email programs, or you're typing all your searches into these search boxes, then it absolutely is inevitable that the government is going to say, okay, well, today it was the people who like the Constitution. Tomorrow I want to know everybody who has a brain in their head. Let's identify them all. You know, that's what they did in Cambodia. Pol Pot killed all of the people with college degrees, and when he was done, he killed all the people with high school diplomas, and when he was done, he killed all the people who wore glasses because he figured that meant that they could read, and when he was done, he killed everybody who could read. And when he was finally done and had killed 1/4 of the population of Cambodia in the 1970s, at that point he said, okay, now let's modernize the country and build dams and bridges. And of course, he had all these illiterate peasants trying to build dams, and they all broke, and it was a disaster. But he identified his opponents at some future, it's at an eventual point, as anybody smart, because he knew that what he was doing was so evil that anybody with any intelligence at all would oppose him, and so he just killed them all. So this is why you don't want to let government know your every viewpoint, your every attitude, even if it's innocuous, like I wear glasses. Keep it to yourself, because they're going to use it against you. It's inevitable. It's how they work. So crazy stuff.
Well, Catherine, you've got the floor, because if I interrupt here, I mean, I'm going to run over you. Keep going. Keep rolling.
Well, yeah, so let me jump in, and I know that your listeners, because we've been talking about this a couple of times for 2 years since we've been building StartMail, is we need to be developing tools to have alternatives. And, you know, the tools that I work on, startpage.com, xquick.com, startmail.com, that's the stuff I'm trying to contribute. But you have brilliant listeners out there with with backgrounds in computers and engineering and technology, and we've got a lot of smart people on our team. I was really encouraged by something I heard out of Austin, Texas, which I know you have everything to do with this. Somebody was telling me that they did a poll in Austin, and 29% of Austin, Texas residents identified not as Republicans or Democrats or independents, but as members of the Liberty Movement. And that's absolutely, your voice and my voice. We're broadcasting through Austin. 29% of people is a revolution. So let's take that 29%, 30%, a third of America is now caught on, woken up and alive and paying attention to this stuff. And we are in an information war. Let's get those people out there, first of all, getting off of these bad tools and onto the good tools. And then second of all, building them. Let's build a new DNS server. Let's build, that doesn't transmit every website you go to Big Brother. Let's build
and by the way, we've got to do this soon because you were going to be on last week, but we had breaking news. Google has delisted us off Google News years ago. Now they're putting out fake reports on Drudge and InfoWars, and even CNET News had to admit it's Google software we're not even running. Google is lying. This is exactly what they're calling for, what Paul Watson was saying. Their minutes at Bilderberg, they're planning to try to bring in a blacklist like the D notices they have in England to block our sites off the web.
So can we talk about that and the filter bubble, because they go hand in hand? So most people don't realize that there's this thing called a filter bubble, which is, you think that Google is just going to give you the truth about everything all the time because we view them, like I said earlier, like mom, right? You go to your mom, hey, why is the sky blue? And she'll do her best to give you the answer. You go to Google, though, and you say, why is the sky blue? And they take a look at your past history and say, well, let's see, what kind of an answer do we think you're looking for? And if we think that you're looking for, and the reason this filter bubble is so important, they give you the answers that they think you are seeking based on your previous searches, based on their understanding of the little tiny bubble of demographics that they put you in. And the problem that this creates, Alex, is that when you and I go online and we look up, for example, Monsanto, right, or Monsanto GMO, if we go onto Google and do that, you and I are both going to get a whole list of things telling you how terrible it is.
They admit it's social engineering to put us in our own bubble, and then phase two is they start twisting what's in that bubble as well. This is literally digital prisons. Google, folks, is the beast system. Google is evil incarnate.
Great news, pure water lovers. BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com has a special discount offer for all GCN listeners. You can't do better than a Big Berkey for economy. For only 1.7 cents a gallon, a single set of filters can last for 5 to 10 years. There's none better than a Big Berkey for emergency preparedness as a backup water source. And you just can't beat a Big Berkey to remove dangerous chlorine, all types of fluoride, pathogenic bacteria, cysts, parasites, and unhealthy byproducts from municipal water. Berkey water filter systems are even powerful enough to purify stagnant pond water. For the gold standard in water filters, get a Big Berkey at BigBerkeyWaterFilters.com. And all GCN listeners get 5% off all ceramic filter systems. For details, call 1-877-99-BERKEY. That's 877-99-BERKEY. Big Berkey Water Filters, for the love of clean water.
In the last 2 years alone, the U.S. has seen huge losses to our food supply. In 2011, storms and floods raged across the U.S., costing us $20 billion in lost crops alone. In 2012, we saw the largest drought in the country in more than 50 years. You may think out of sight, out of mind, and so you don't think you will be affected. The fact is you are. We all are. Food shortages drive prices up for everyone. You might not be able to control Mother Nature, but you can control your food prices by freezing the cost and availability of your food supply with eFoods Direct. Be prepared before you need it. With nutrient-dense food you can store for up to 25 years. You can hope for the best, but hope won't feed you. Do what I've done and get your own supply of the best storable foods out there from eFoods Direct. Call 800-409-5633 or visit them on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex and check out their spring specials. Again, that number is 800-409-5633 or on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
What's more amazing than a Swiss Army knife? A survival business card. It's 11 functions rolled into one pocket-sized tool, including a sharp knife, a saw, a bottle opener, and a can opener, too. It even has a wrench. It lays flat, fits right in your wallet. A survival multi-tool for your wallet, leather-like sheath included. Designed to be practical and built to last. Yours free. That's right, free. Claim yours right now while supplies last at freesurvivaltool.com. Again, that's freesurvivaltool.com. Bills in front of Congress right now could take away your right to keep and bear arms. If Obama has his way, all guns will be either banned, restricted, or confiscated, possibly by executive order. The best way to keep your guns is to hide them. What Obama can't find, Obama can't take away. You can protect your guns from any threat. Download our special report, How to Hide Your Guns, at GoHideYourGuns.com. Learn how to hide your guns while keeping them readily available. Get the report now before they make us take it down. On the web at GoHideYourGuns.com.
You know what Hank Hill says about Google, don't you? That Google is just plain evil. I don't do a very good Hank Hill. We were just talking about Hank Hill during the break. I'll be gone, like I said. You know, I try to joke around about this stuff. This is ultra creepy. They plan to dominate the future. This is the future of warfare. They are robbing you of your privacy, and they think it's all a big joke. And it is a nightmare fight we're talking about. Katherine Albrecht's our guest in this segment and the next. Then Richard Belzer is going to be joining us because he was on during the Boston bombing when it happened, when we said, okay, if there's drills, if there's stand-downs, if the patsies are connected to the FBI and CIA, you know it's a staged event. And then all of that happened. And now we know it was a staged event. And just like I told you, the IRS is persecuting people before this came out. I know a bunch of people being persecuted. I've had a little bit of it. I've talked to people inside the IRS, their biggest IRS center in the country's here in Austin, like 2 miles from where I sit. And again, Google makes the IRS look like angels because they are something from 1913. And it is just incredible how they've now come out and go, the IRS is watching your bank account without warrants. Oh, the Defense Department is watching everything you do in real time. And they're building all sorts of NSA bases everywhere. With Google built next door, Google is their front. Google is so they're not under government oversight. Google was set up. Katherine Albrecht getting into how they try to put us into these reservations and how important it is to break out of that, to use other search engines like StartPage.com, XQuick. But whatever you do, just get away from the big guys. Get away from them now. What else do we do to fight these people?
Well, I think first we have to understand it, because when I was talking about this Monsanto example, and if I could just finish the example, it might clarify some things for some listeners who may not understand how this works. If you and let's say my father-in-law both log on to google.com and you both type in Monsanto GMO food, you're going to get page after page after page of links to like RT.com and you know, all these, you know, environmentalworkinggroup.com, all these different groups that are going to tell you about how bad the genetic modification is, right? You've seen them, I've seen them.
Because it knows you're already awake, so it lets you see that. Daddy ain't going to get any of that.
That's right. Now, when my father-in-law logs on, he's going to get a bunch of investment links that say, hey, Monsanto's stock is up due to their GMO advancements in Africa. Or they might get a link that says GMO crops are breaking new ground and improving health worldwide. Or GMO crops are praised by Ambassador so-and-so of, you know...
Or Supreme Court rules in favor of Monsanto today.
Yes. And so what this does, though, is it creates this notion for us, and this is really important to understand this. For those of us who are awake, it creates the impression that everybody else sees and knows what we know, but they just don't care. And so we then say, well, don't you guys care about what Monsanto's doing? And they look at you and they're like, yeah, they're doing GMO stuff. And you're like, but don't you care? And they say, no, it's great. And so because the information they're being fed is information about how great it is, oh, yeah, they've introduced vitamin B into the rice in
And they
Thailand.
do that on YouTube now, run by Google, and every ad company we use, Google ends up buying. They're creating this oligopoly, and you're absolutely right. That's why you've got to send links to people. You've got to show it to them on your smartphone.
That's right.
You've got to be active, folks. Don't just fight in the technocracy. Fight physically.
Because they're ghettoizing us. And so if they ghettoize you and the people that you're trying to reach are seeing a completely different picture of reality, then you are not going to be able to reach them. You're not going to be able to talk to them. And the last thing in the world you got to say to somebody is, oh, just Google it.
Now explain how explain how the Romans use ghettos and others. The ghettoization of Google, the Nazi command base. Stay with us.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Now that we have moved into the winter season, there is an increased need to support our immunity and health. At Silver Lungs, we are committed to meeting your needs by providing a full selection of silver-based products. Our most popular silver-based products are the 32-ounce Nano Silver Solutions, our 2-ounce Nano Silver Nasal Applicators, as well as our all-natural silver soaps. Just released is our 100% natural silver gel. Our new silver gel is not based on synthetic gelling agents, which quickly evaporate and leave the silver at the surface. But rather, we have formulated our silver gel using the natural skin-nourishing chemistry of aloe vera to quickly penetrate and nourish the skin, while delivering the silver more effectively. Visit www.silverlungs.com and click on our store page to find what silver-based products are best for you. That's www.silverlungs.com.
Waging war on corruption. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All right, Katherine Albrecht's been on with us, and she's only scratching the surface. I mean, she's a doctor of Harvard studying science, technology, consumer affairs, and it is a revolution against humanity. Technology is an incredibly empowering thing. Like a gun. Can be used to hunt, protect yourself, whatever. But in the hands of bad guys, it's super bad. Well, this makes guns look tame. This makes bioweapons look tame because they're able to track humans, study humans, and control us. The globalists see themselves as a breakaway society, and they're creating these internet ghettos the last year where they're killing the viral spread of liberty messages by only serving you your own YouTube videos. I mean, I could tell my wife did a few searches on the computer in our bedroom on tap dancing. She likes to dance, tango, tap dancing. She does it all. And now, you know, I'm on there and it's tap dancing stuff everywhere instead of just anti-New World Order stuff. Now, I do such wide searches that mine isn't as bad, but I go to families' houses or I get on other people's computers, and you can see also what they're into. And again, that is trying to keep, this is an ancient tactic. Katherine Albrecht, in closing, explain this to people. KatherineAlbrecht.com.
Yeah, so it's critical that people understand this because they're using the tools that we think open up our vistas to really close them. And you've mentioned Startpage, which is the private search engine that I helped to develop that lets you get to Google results without actually being tracked and monitored by Google. And it breaks you out of the filter bubble because when you go to Startpage, let's say you search for Monsanto, we give you just the generic Monsanto results because they don't have your tracking cookies and your history. They don't even know who you are. So they have to just serve you the generic results. So sometimes it's interesting just experimentally to go and see what does Google consider to be the generic results on topic X.
And remember, even if you turn Google off and say don't have cookies, they break that on record. And I mean, this is a criminal group.
Yeah, no, it's wild. And this is what they do. They figure out ways to get more information than you know that they're getting. I mean, that's what they're brilliant at. But the other thing I want to remind people, and we don't talk about it very often when I come on the show, but Ixquick, which is IXQUICK, Ixquick.com, returns search results from everybody but Google. And the reason I really like Ixquick is that there's times when you know that you're not getting the result you should be getting, or you're not being told something you should be getting told. And if you look on Google, you don't find it because they know your history. You go to Startpage, you don't find it potentially because Startpage is giving you Google results, which we get from Google. We just strip out the privacy stuff, but we're giving you a straight feed from them. And then if you're not finding it still, go to Ixquick, and I have found an incredible result. When I go to ixquick.com and I search for something that I'm just not finding, all of a sudden I get all these links and results, like the whole first page is different. And I'm like, where has all this stuff been all my life? Like, where was this hiding? So I would encourage people to, first of all, stop, pull the Google needle out of your arm, switch to Start Page as your homepage if you like the Google results. And then when you really want to go deeper, go to Ixquick or make it your homepage. They're both great. The other thing I want to tell people is we have Start Mail is now in internal beta testing. We're about to get you your free account, Alex. I can't wait. I'm so excited because fully encrypted, we're talking off the chart. Nobody, even us, can read anything that you write through Start Mail. So all these people out here who are like, well, thanks, Catherine. You just told me my Yahoo account's going to get read and my Gmail's getting read. So what the heck are you going to propose as a solution? We're building it. It's built. It's startmail.com. There's a place on there where people, Alex Jones listeners, can go and sign up as beta testers on there. And it's done. It's made. It's here. I'm so excited. I've been testing it out, kicking the tires. I love it. And we're talking about a user vault that is so well encrypted. As I said, even we cannot read the email of people who send email in our system. And that's the kind of thing we need to see, not just in search engines like Start Page and Ixquick and Start Mail, but we need to see it in everything.
Absolutely. Google is trying to shut down the real alternative media. We have to have an exodus away from all their systems as much as we can. They're like half the web now, so it's hard, so that we build alternatives to them. They are forcing us. Necessity is the mother of invention. Katherine Albrecht, we'll talk to you again very, very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure having you. All right, we got Richard Belzer coming up, and I'm going to recap the top stories and hit some breaking news.
In the last 2 years alone, the U.S. has seen huge losses to our food supply. In 2011, storms and floods raged across the U.S., costing us $20 billion in lost crops alone. In 2012, we saw the largest drought in the country in more than 50 years. You may think out of sight, out of mind, and so you don't think you will be affected. The fact is you are. We all are. Food shortages drive prices up for everyone. You might not be able to control Mother Nature, but you can control your food prices by freezing the cost and availability of your food supply with eFoods Direct. Be prepared before you need it. With nutrient-dense food you can store for up to 25 years. You can hope for the best, but hope won't feed you. Do what I've done and get your own supply of the best storable foods out there from eFoods Direct. Call 800-409-5633 or visit them on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex and check out their spring specials. Again, that number is 800-409-5633 or on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
With health threats on the rise such as West Nile virus, MRSA, CRE, and now the new bird flu recently discovered in China, there has never been a more crucial time to support your immune system. Supernatural Silver is a revolutionary new silver solution that is clinically shown to be several hundred times more effective than colloidal or ionic silver and is powerful enough to help protect you and your family. Supernatural Silver is scientifically supported, highly effective, and perfect for everyday use inside the body as well as out. The Science Digest Journal says silver is our mightiest germ fighter. It is virtually non-toxic and is emerging as a wonder of modern medicine. Supernatural Silver is the #1 choice of thousands for improved health and immune system support. To find out how Supernatural Silver can change your life, go to supernaturalsilver.com and use the promo code SPRING2013 for 20% off and like us on Facebook.
Cal-Ben Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soap that is triple concentrated and made from the highest quality vegetable and coconut oils. See them on the web, www.5starsoap.com, or call 1-800-340-7091 for a free catalog and buy American-made products. Order the sampler, a 1 to 2 month supply, or get a 1 to 2 year supply of soaps for all your cleaning needs. You're getting soap products twice as good as what you're using now. This is an amazing deal, and you will love the way real soap makes your skin feel. Call 1-800-340-7091 or visit www.5starsoap.com. Alex and his staff have used these earth-friendly, pure soaps for years. See them on the web, www.5starsoap.com, or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog.
It began with the forging of the Great Rings. 3 were given to the elves, immortal, wisest and fairest of all beings. 7 to the dwarf lords, great miners and craftsmen of the mountain halls. And 9 rings were gifted to the race of men who above all else desire power. For within these rings was bound the strength and will to govern each race. But they were all of them deceived, for another ring was made. In the land of Mordor, in the fires of Mount Doom, the Dark Lord Sauron forged in secret a master ring to control all others. And into this ring he poured his cruelty, his malice, and his will to dominate all life. One ring to rule them all.
The Alex Jones Show, because there is a war on for your mind.
The ever-watchful eyes of Google are upon you. Ever watchful, ever waiting, ever staring, a lidless eye wreathed in flame. It knows all your medical conditions, your history, where you eat, what size and color underwear your wife wears, what type of sex you're into. But you can trust the Bilderberg group that created Google and runs it. You can trust them all to have your data. You can trust your child to be raised by the smartphone built in Chinese slave grids. You can trust the New World Order to put you in a technotronic ghetto and destroy your mind. And you can trust Bill Gates to take all the vaccines he has for you and your family. You can trust Monsanto with Bill Gates on the board, with the great food they produce that kills the rodents that are fed it and the honeybees that eat it. You can trust the New World Order because it's come to bring you life and prosperity. So drink deep from the sodium hydrofluorosilicic acid that comes out of your tap water. Don't read the Harvard study about it lowering your IQ and fertility and 7-fold increase in bone cancer and kidney cancer. Drink deeply from the delicious water of life given to you by your loving world government. And when you say a prayer at night, thank Google and thank the IRS for spying on you and using the data to persecute American scum that promote the Constitution. And thank the government God that it's training that homeschoolers are terrorists in drills nationwide. Kneel before the great all-seeing eyes of Google, ever watching, ever chronicling, ever tracking. And I think you should go out to known criminal groups and give them your credit card numbers and everything else and tell them when you're going to be home and when you're not. We should just publish all that. Look at how common criminals use Facebook to rob people. When you go, look at all our new Christmas stuff. And today, woohoo, we're going to Cancun. We're going to be gone for a week. And then they find out off the data on the photos where you live that do location pinning. It's meant for Big Brother, but other criminals can use it. And then they rob your house. Yeah! What do you got to hide, baby? The last time he was on with us, time before last, we were talking about spy grids, and all of a sudden, into the view came Christopher Walken. No, I'm not joking, ladies and gentlemen. Sauntering into view came Christopher Walken like an angel, flapping down from heaven to give us red wine and chicken recipes. And he was there, and he pointed out he has no computers in his house, no cell phones, no nothing. And I realized the only way in the future to do that is to have that. But you won't even be able to buy a washing machine in the future that doesn't have spy tech hooked into the smart meter, listening and watching and tracking everything you do. Oh, the government loves you and your children. And your little dog, too, of course. Just ask Dianne Feinstein. And Reno. Ladies and gentlemen, we have huge breaking Google news up on Infowars.com. They are becoming Bilderberg. The passing of the torch of satanic Prometheus, of anti-Prometheus, is being transferred right now. UK newspaper creates illegal 3D gun, sneaks it onto trains and aircraft so they can demonize it. That's all breaking. Bilderberg 2.0, the new technocratic construct in the works. France's socialist government moves to impose smartphone tax. GOOGLEBERG, global elite, transforms itself for technocratic revolution. That's the big breaking story with videos and photos of the Google complex at a former OSS spy base. U.S. consumers can blame Walmart for the new online sales tax when it passes. FEMA to stage massive drill at Pennsylvania amusement park today. That's on the left-hand side of DrudgeReport.com, also at Infowars.com. Washington Post blames gangland shooting on Second Amendment. I predicted it'd be gangland, and indeed that's what it was. By the way, Watson should probably add the fact that they admit woundings from guns down 69% since 93. Deaths from guns down 39%. Violent crime down 49%. The main factor, Justice Department's own numbers, gun ownership increasing. But the average American believes that there is more gun crime than there ever has been because of perception. Just like you have the perception that Google's not evil because they got pretty colors and say they're not evil, and they have a campus with guys that drink beer and play ping pong and have socks that don't match. And they got Hollywood movies coming out about how, you know, you go and you join the Google team. I mean, what bull? I'm convinced if Hitler would have worn rainbow uniforms and handed kids teddy bears before they shot him in the head, I'm not being sarcastic, our media would have saluted them and said, how dare you not love Hitler? If Stalin would have worn maybe a pink uniform and walked around going, then everything would be fine. Because I'm telling you, if a tank ran up to your house and had like Lucky Charms colors on it, and the military dressed like leprechauns, and showed up at your house and said, bring your children out, line them up, we're going to shoot them, parents would come out and kill their children in front of them. I'm not kidding. I mean, it's incredible. As long as Eric Schmidt, okay, I'm having a moment. I'm going to stop right now. See, this stuff crashes in on me, ladies and gentlemen. It really crashes in on me, and it's absurdist. Reality is absurdist, so I start getting absurdist, and I'm out of control. I got all this news coming up this hour. I've got this is serious. I've got drills all over the country where homeschoolers, where they have drills where people attack the public school and they'll come in with guns and point them at 7-year-old kids and say, we're going to kill you. We're homeschoolers against the federal government. In Michigan, you name it, and then the parents freak out and they go, well, we're sorry, it's a federal grant to do this. They just had another one last week, unannounced, and I'm not just saying this for effect, it's true, with people going to the bathroom in their pants when men come in and say, we're going to kill you, and they engage in massive re-education camp behavior in America. The schools are re-education camps. Richard Belzer, of course, is a researcher and is author before he became a movie star and TV star, and BelzerBook.com, iBells.com. His new book went on the New York Times bestseller list, and I think it's the best JFK book out in over a decade because it chronicles all the witnesses that were killed to cover it up. And that's the real proof of what happened, but we're not so much getting into that today. He was on with us for like an hour-and-a-half extended overdrive interview because I always go to guests late because I want guests, but then I also want to be able to talk, so it kind of split it up. And he was there when the bombing happened, and we basically predicted everything that would then unfold, that there'd be drills, that the patsies would be connected to the NSA and CIA, all of it. But who would know that we would route the story so quickly and it would blow up in spectacular fashion? So you've heard my Google ranting. You've heard my all of it coming out here. I am in overload. I mean, my brain has already been rewired, man. And let me tell you, it's wired against this stuff. A lot of people get rewired to, like, submit to the tyranny. I'm wired into the tyranny, but it's like torture, pain amplifiers or something. But it's not really like a pain. It's more of a enraged aphrodisiac of like a caged animal struggling against his incineration. Do you see what I'm saying, Richard Belzer?
No, I see exactly what you're saying. The synaptic aspects of our brain are being overloaded with information that people like you and I have known for a long time, and we're frustrated when we try to tell other people. I've been censored for years, Alex, I can't tell you how I've had plugs pulled on me, and I was taken off panels. And
you've been talking about this stuff since the 70s.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Your last guest made a very chilling, astute observation about how a different age group is fed different information. Like her father would not know that Monsanto, was the devil, but younger people who are more tech savvy are more into that, so they give them their information. That is really starting to get scary. In the 1950s, our government in the 50s had a thing called Operation Mockingbird. They were already working on looking at us through televisions, and that was cathode ray tubes. Now, of course, they could see us when our TVs are off.
Now they just hide the camera in plain view.
Yes, and you said before, if Hitler wore flowers, Hitler didn't have to wear flowers for the bankers in the United States and the Harrimans and Prescott Bush and John Kennedy's father and the DuPonts. Hitler declared war on us. We didn't declare war on Germany. I have nightmares wondering how long we would have waited before we declared war on Hitler. I mean, he was in Paris in 1940. We still weren't at war with them. We were helping Hitler throughout the war.
I want to talk about that when we come back, because I know you've written about it, and it's on record, but also it shows the normalcy bias. We're faced by our own Hitlers today.
HempUSA.org has a revolutionary wonder food for detoxing the body and rebuilding the immune system. Microplant powder can help unclog arteries and soften heart valves while removing heavy metals, virus, fungus, bacteria, and parasites. Plus, it cleans and purifies the blood, lungs, stomach, and colon. Keep your body clean with Microplant powder. Order today at 888-910-4367 or visit HempUSA.org.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
Hello, this is Ty Bollinger, author of the best-selling book, Cancer, Step Outside the Box. I want you to know some very important information. In 1985, President Ronald Reagan requested that Carnivora be sent directly to the White House at a time when only the president could obtain this world-class healer. Now, 27 years later, Carnivora capsules are used around the world to keep people healthy. Now you can protect yourself and your loved ones in this age of superbugs with 17 naturally occurring compounds that instinctively respond to abnormal cells only without harming a single normal cell. If you want to stay healthy, now's your chance to literally wake up your critical immune cells to attack harmful invaders that don't belong in your body. Call 1-866-VENUS-FLY or order from carnivora.com. That's CARNIVORA.com. That's 1-866-836-8735, 1-866-VENUS-FLY, or visit carnivora.com. Protect your immune system. It's the only one you've got.
There is an increased need to support our immunity and health. At Silver Lungs, we are committed to meeting your needs by providing a full selection of silver-based products. Our most popular silver-based products are the 32-ounce Nano Silver Solutions, our 2-ounce Nano Silver Nasal Applicators, as well as our all-natural silver soaps. Just released is our 100% natural silver gel. Our new silver gel is not based on synthetic gelling agents, which quickly evaporate and leave the silver at the surface. But rather, we have formulated our silver gel using the natural skin-nourishing chemistry of aloe vera to quickly penetrate and nourish the skin, while delivering the silver more effectively. Visit www.silverlungs.com and click on our store page to find what silver-based products are best for you. That's www.silverlungs.com.
Hey there, my name is Frank Bates. Do you know the #1 most valuable item in a crisis?
Some people think the answer is gold. Others think it's a gun. But the correct answer will shock you. I just created a free video at crisis123.com that reveals a surprising item that is more valuable than gold in a crisis. 97% of Americans don't have this one critical item. In fact, they haven't even given it a thought. And the sad truth is that you may not survive without it when a real crisis hits and a starving mob is right outside your door. What I have to tell you could literally make the difference between life and death for you and your family. Watch my video at crisis123.com to discover the #1 most valuable item in a crisis. You'll be shocked. See the controversial video that thousands of other smart patriots have already seen in the last 3 months. Go watch my video now at crisis123.com before they force me to shut it down. Again, that's crisis123.com.
Folks, I'm here ranting and raving. I'm just trying to get you to wake up. I mean, I covered the fact that the West funded Hitler 18 years ago when I first got on air. Anthony Sutton was really the first to expose it because he was able to get into congressional files. But there were a lot of bomber pilots who complained over the fact they couldn't bomb Ford and General Motor factories all over Germany. And so they would fly and bomb the same factory over and over again that was already destroyed, but they couldn't bomb these others. And back at the time, it was called rumors. And it just shows how even as the war went, the West was making money off of it. Just like the globalists fund al-Qaeda, but then also said we've got to give our rights up because of al-Qaeda. Richard Belzer, you'd gone off into that area, author Richard Belzer. I want to get back into the Boston bombing with you, the book. All the IRS spying on groups that promote the Constitution. It's like, oh, it's not just the Tea Party or libertarians. It's if you promote the Constitution, we're coming after you. I mean, that is absurdist. That's exactly what bad guys would do.
Actually repellent and sickening. You know, there was a play by T.S. Eliot called Murder in the Cathedral, where the king wanted to get rid of the bishop who was in his way, and he didn't. He said, who will rid me of this priest? So, like, he didn't say kill the priest, but of course his underlings killed, Becket. And now the president or whoever, let's say anyone up there can say, who will rid me of this group, whether it's left or right. It's ironic that they want to, suppress patriotism. That's really chilling. So it's like now they have the IRS. They don't have to, kill you or poison you. They can, like Nixon had an enemies list. Every president can use this chilling device, which is probably illegal anyway. IRS is probably technically extortion anyway. But to use it as a threat, even if it wasn't Obama, it's people within his administration of a like mind. So, it's really scary. I mean, I know you and I have seen a lot in our day, and we seem to be a little bit ahead of the curve. But since the Boston bombing, the constellation of events and the Googleization of the Bilderbergers and the parsing of information to various age and demographic groups through computers is, you saw Oblivion, right?
Yes.
Absolutely brilliant movie where this face on the screen finally at the end says, I'm your God, which is what these Google and these banking people say.
And you notice it's an upside down black pyramid that looks like the Google eye. I mean, look,
yes.
I said on air, you may have missed it, but in fact, I like the fact that you didn't hear me say it so listeners can hear you say it and agree, because minds that love liberty think alike.
Yes.
I mean, this is some of the most anti-Illuminati, anti-tyranny propaganda I've ever seen. I mean, what did you make of that? I'm surprised they were able to get Oblivion out.
Well, I think it was shocking that Oliver Stone got to make his movie, but it got out. Once in a while, it happens. I think Oblivion might have been a little bit dense for the studio executives, and they didn't realize what it was really. And kudos to Tom, whatever you think of him.
I agree.
know Tom. I think he's a great guy. his religion is his business.
You're saying you know him? You think he's a great guy?
Oh, I've met him. I've been with him a few times.
Yeah.
He's a real gentleman, and he's a real, as the Yiddish expression, mensch. He's like a good guy.
Yeah, mensch. Yeah.
And he was very, very nice to my daughter and son-in-law, and I was with him a few times, and you could just see that he's not as huge as he is. He carries it well. But I think him making this movie, him in particular, he's an iconic figure who's very controversial. And if you notice recently, there was a poll came out and said that he was like the least admired celebrity or something. It came out right around the time the movie came out. So, it's like they're preemptively trying to discredit him personally because that movie may have hinted at something that people don't want people to know.
Oh, it's hardcore. I mean, at so many levels. It's got the archetypes all exposed, the compartmentalization, how people working for the system are really destroying themselves. I mean, it's a very deep movie.
Yeah, and what started scaring me a few years ago is like I would buy a book online, and then the next time I'd buy a book, hey, Richard, you might like this. I'm like, whoa. You know what I mean? They immediately jump into your taste and every aspect of your being.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't tell my dad the stuff I'm doing on computers, my own private stuff, my mother, my wife. Why the hell does Google and Schmidt get to sit there and see everything I'm into or anything I'm investigating? Stay there. Richard Belzer's our guest, and his Skype video's down, so...
We're on the march.
So there won't be any Christopher Walken.
Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Alex Jones here with a message to fellow freedom lovers. The prognosis for the entire planetary economic system runs from bad to worse. The globalist model is to shut down societies and starve patriots out until they acquiesce to the global takeover. That's why we've assembled the most vital and important preparedness items at InfoWarsShop.com. These are items that I did research on, that I personally use. We've got the life straw, so you can turn fetid water into safe water anywhere you go. The K-Tor hand crank generator to charge up key equipment during power outages or out in the field. Strategic Relocation, 3rd edition by Joel Skousen. When Disaster Strikes by Matthew Stein. ThyroSafe, used by Homeland Security to protect yourself during any radiological event. Hand crank shortwave AM/FM radios. Everything that we've researched and found to be the best is available at InfoWarsShop.com, and your purchase makes our InfoWar possible. We're getting prepared. Are you? InfoWarsShop.com.
You prepare by purchasing gold, food, and firearms. But if you don't have a home security system, then you're missing a critical weapon in your arsenal for home protection. When you're sleeping or away from home, who's watching out for intruders? Check out Simply Safe. It's a new do-it-yourself home security system that is completely wireless. Go to GetSimplySafe.com. Simply Safe is independent and off the grid. It runs on battery power, so even if the grid goes down, you're protected. It's completely customizable, so you can use it in your home, business, boat, trailer, storage unit, or shed. GetSimplySafe.com. Simply Safe is also ridiculously easy to install yourself in under 20 minutes, so there's no need to let a stranger into your home. If you move or need to relocate, you can take the system with you wherever you go. You aren't always at home, but Simply Safe will stand guard, protecting your property 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, that's GetSimplySafe.com.
Introducing Pro One. All of your filtration in one system, portable, on the go. No more do you have 2 or 3 filters to just reduce sodium fluoride. You have a system that cuts out the sodium fluoride and up to 95% of hydrofluorosilicic acid. Advanced manufacturing technology combines silver-impregnated white ceramic with new Aquamedics advanced media for removal of fluoride and other heavy metals, all in one filter element. It is the only one that does it, and out of the gate, we have it discounted at 10% off with promo code WATER. This is the only system that in one unit helps reduce or remove pesticides, herbicides, chloramines, ammonia, and chlorine, hydrofluorosilicic acid, the most common form of fluoride not covered by other fluoride filter brands, and sodium hexafluorosilicate. Get your Pro Pure with the new Pro One filter today at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139.
defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones.
We'll talk some about his book that's on the New York Times bestseller list before he leaves us. And I will try to take a bunch of calls tomorrow. I've kind of been hogging the show with all these guests, like Paul Watson, Dr. Katherine Albrecht, and now Richard Belzer on the show with us. But I'm glad this story got some attention via drudgereport.com last night and this morning, because this is a big story. Homeland Security funded exercises portrayed homeschoolers as terrorists. And then in the article, it goes through some of the newest drills where, quote, angry parents attack the school, and then other drills where, going back for years, but it's still going on, they train where, quote, homeschoolers are in a mock attack and tell the elementary students they're attacked by a fictitious radical group called Wackos Against Schools and Education who believe everyone should be homeschooled. That's what the children are told as guns are pointed at them. And then in the new training video in Seattle, Sergeant Dan Passion says, well, we're having such a big problem with this all across America while we're doing this drill. Yeah, of parents attacking schools and homeschoolers attacking schools. Amazing. And I got a bunch of other news. I'm going to try to run through some of the headlines. But this big IRS enemies list deal where the Washington Post has to admit that, okay, it was any group, quote, promoting the Constitution. Probe expands to groups opposed to government who teach the Constitution. IRS charging groups that criticize the government. And then it goes on to say, or promoted the Constitution. Promoted the Constitution. People could say, well, the founders, they still had slaves. But the Constitution's interpretation expanded to where then it got banned. They tried to ban it when they first created the Constitution in 1798, but it took 60-something years to do it. The point is, it's the idea of liberty. Why are they demonizing it? Because it creates checks and balances on government. By the way, Richard Belzer's book, Hit List, is the new one, an in-depth investigation into the mysterious deaths of witnesses to JFK assassination. Very strong in his last book, Dead Wrong, Straight Facts on the country's most controversial cover-ups, Richard Belzer and David Wayne, both available at InfoWarsStore.com. Richard, I'm here asking the questions. Instead of that, where do you want to go with all this news? I mean, we've now discovered from our source and then gone there and proved it that Bilderberg is merging with Google. Of course, a big, giant internet takeover grid. You've got the best of times, worst of times. People are really waking up, or they're getting deeper into the trance. You talk to a lot of heavy hitters. I'm seeing, incredibly demonizing messages out of Hollywood for liberty, but also a lot of positive messages. In fact, more positive than I used to see. What's going on in the world from your perspective?
Well, a lot of people are walking in their sleep and refuse to even entertain some of the even not as dark stuff that you and I get into, because you and I have a passion for the truth. As you know, we don't have to make anything up. And when I talk to, some of my people in the industry who are powerful and smart, and a lot of them resist the notion of these conspiracies and murders and cover-ups in the government. But now these corporations and the government, they have to openly talk about it, because now 1984 goes both ways with the internet. So, we're right on their heels. For them to say anybody who's talking about the Constitution, that's right, left, center, that's the American citizenry. They're declaring war on everyone. Don't think it's just the Tea Party or just, guns rights groups. And, the civil rights movement was kind of sabotaged. Hoover would have black agents infiltrate a civil rights nonviolent group, incite them to violence to discredit them. And then when it went to trial and that person was indicted, they, go into session, into the judge's chambers, the case thrown out because national security. So we have to be very careful, as you know better than anyone, about any event that happens where it's like, the Boston Marathon, 9/11. I mean, it just keeps on spilling out the information. The initial story is always wrong, and then something else comes out, and then it's, you know, I've been studying the Kennedy murder for 50 years, and we're still finding stuff out about it. So, but the difference between now and then is we have the technology, we have the tools. Your newsletters and your show makes people tell other people. And, you know, we have to, it's like, we started as families and then tribes and villages. But now it's this global, dark global force that has named themselves. The masks are off. You know, the mega banks, the banksters as you've coined them, and the oil companies and communications, you know.
Richard, why do you think, I'm sorry to interrupt, you're about to say something about.
Go ahead.
Why do you think they're getting so brazen? Is that an attempt to just normalize things because they've failed at covering it up? And then give us your quote.
No, I think you're right on the money. They're normalizing it. But how dare they go into a school and draw guns for a drill? I mean, that's as bad as making kids duck under a desk when they would be incinerated. I remember as a child, I mean, I'm old, so, you know, going into the basement and kneeling against a wall and making us pray. And I was looked at my friend, I mean, he's like, you know, fifth grade, I don't know, really young kid saying, what are they talking about? You know, this isn't going to do anything. And, you know, and I knew that as a child. But they're reshaping language and it's a soft dictatorship. This country literally, by definition, is a fascist country now because it's a country for the corporation, not the individual, as defined by Mussolini. And if you look at every Supreme Court decision in memory, every time there's a lawsuit against a corporation or a landlord or a boss, the corporation wins. The individual rarely wins. And that's why I think the government's getting a little scared, because people are outraged. And, you know, the gun issue is an issue that everyone is emotional about and has feelings about. And you can't demonize every single person who owns a gun. First of all, it's physically impossible to take guns away from everyone. And second of all, everyone has the right. I mean, it's a question of the permutations of the law and to what degree the government can impose its will. And I'll tell you one more thing, Alex, if I may. One of the most important things about this country is the right to privacy. Jefferson and Adams, particularly Jefferson, that is something I personally cherish. And I cherish it for my family. And, you know, the Godfather, you know, when Michael says to first Don Corleone says to Sonny, never tell anyone outside the family what you're thinking. You know what I mean? And now Google is our family. We're supposed to tell them what we're thinking, this faceless corporate fascist entity that's not even a corporation anymore. It's a monster. I guess they're going to cut off my Skype or something.
No, I totally agree with you. Your Skype did break up for a moment. Richard Belzer is our guest. Let me just give you an example of what you're talking about in the listeners. Punch my computer up on screen, please. New York Times, 2 hours ago, Monsanto wins case on genetically altered soybeans. Now, you read the first paragraph, and it says, oh, well, they won a victory saying farmers can't mix their seeds in with other seeds and say they own it. But that's not actually what the case was, because I've been following it for 2 years and had the lawyers on about it. Plants don't have one daddy, one mommy. Plants can be 1/10 of 1%. Another plant of the same, you know, general variety. And so Monsanto pollen, whether it's corn, soybean, you name it, blows around, and you get some of its genetics into other people, and they can go prove, I bought my seeds here, they're heirloom, they're not Monsanto. Almost every Mexican corn variety, there's thousands, has been infected by one form of BT corn. Now, Monsanto then goes and sues the Mexican farmers, sues the canola farmers in Canada, sues the soybean farmers in North Dakota. They go and pull the plant, test it. They go on your property and say, it's 1% Monsanto. And you go, but I bought the seeds. Well, it doesn't matter. You infringed on our patent when they're the ones that have dumped toxic waste on you. The Supreme Court rules they can do this and then sue you when they contaminate you or their seeds get in grain elevators mixed in, and then the article deceives and makes it sound like the people were stealing Monsanto seeds. Now, is that not, Richard, incredible?
Well, to patent food, Alex, you know, that's where riots start. When you start controlling food, I mean, this is really, it's like with the stem cell research. I don't think there's anything wrong if a woman gives birth and she donates her umbilical cord and someone can use the cells from that to regenerate their heart or to help, an injured spine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you know, in America, in this country, there's 5 patents on stem cells. You can't use the whole stem cell. You can only use factors of it. It's crazy how these corporations are actually getting into our cells, into our food.
Oh, it's worse than that, Richard. As you know, they ruled, 6 years ago? People can type it in. People will go in for cancer gene treatment, and they'll say, oh, well, you gave a blood donation at this blood bank 20 years ago. A company bought that. They type tested and then patented your individual protein structures. You have to pay $100,000 extra to have this now. They own your genetics.
Yeah, there's a famous case of a woman who was used, they used her blood, and it was used in a way that it was introduced into, so like thousands of other people have an element from this woman's blood. They didn't tell her, they didn't tell her family, they only found out later. God knows what, if God forbid, if you have to go in a hospital, and they draw your blood and they take tests, where does that information go? And Alex, I don't mean to be morbid, but my sister-in-law went into the hospital last November and died of something she didn't go in for. And it's like she got an infection in the hospital, and on her, I wanted my brother to sue, and on the death certificate it said unidentifiable, undiagnosable causes. How dare they to protect themselves from libel? So these people are lawyered up. They twisted the law on torture.
Exactly. So where does it all go? We're ready to give up all our rights because of 3 people dead at the stage Boston bombing. We've got a government with a history of it, but then it's bad to say, hey, they may have done it again, even though they're known perpetrators. And then you've got, let's be conservative.
Sure.
500,000 people dying from flesh-eating bacteria or hospital staph infections a year in this country alone. It's growing. You've got from 1 in 25,000. And of course, my number's higher. They say like 200 and something thousand die from it, but the numbers I'm getting is they keep lying on the certificates. It may be 3 times higher. So when I say 500,000, the number may be like 1 million. It's kind of like adverse effects from vaccines, maybe 1 report out of 100. So they say it's 290-something thousand from flesh-eating bacteria or other infections that are caused by these hospitals. So let's just say it's 1 million. I just said 500. People say, where do you get these numbers? But it expands on that. You've got hundreds of thousands from drug interactions, hundreds of thousands from mistakes, but no one's fear-mongering, hey, the hospital's deadly dangerous. They're not going to fix the problems. They just paper over it. So how far can the BS go when the establishment's lawyered up, but that still won't protect them from reality?
Well, this is why our heads are exploding, Alex, because we know that people are giving up their freedom unknowingly. People are self-censoring. That's the most chilling kind of censorship to me. When you think of something, you say, oh, I better not say it. Self-censorship, that's how scary things are, how repressive. But fortunately, we have the internet, and you have your show, and you're reaching millions of people, and we just have to keep beating the drums and protecting our families and getting real personal, because the macrocosm is so overwhelming. People, it's so complex and overwhelming that people can't really wrap their brains around it. That's why your show is so important, and I want to volunteer. I'm going to France. I'd like to be your check in once in a while as your French correspondent and let you know what the European papers are saying and
absolutely. Look, when you wake up at 7 a.m. or 6 a.m., whatever it is, and you're lying there awake, or when you're get home at night and you're laying in bed, you're meditating, you're thinking, where do you see things going in your mind's eye? 35, 40 years of researching this. Where do you think it's going?
I have to tell you, Alex, I'm almost at a loss for words, because I'm deep into my Kennedy research, and I'm finding things out that I thought I, should have known. And now this stuff is all piling up, and it seems like things are speeding up towards everything that we feared, but it's disguised through corporations making it soft kill. And I think I see it all going really dark unless we, the people,
exactly,
just shooting back nonviolently through information.
Well, see, that's my frustration. Exactly. I feel people call in and thank me, or you're thanking me, and it's actually torturing me because I will be calm at night or calm driving into work and have a million points I want to make that are so, piercing and important to warn people. Right. And then I get on air and, and we cover most of it, but still you're on air and you lose, part of your IQ or whatever. But my point is we're not doing enough. I mean, I know this is super dark and bad. I know it's accelerating. And I feel like I should be doing more, Richard, but I don't know what that lever is to get us out of this. And then as things get confirmed, people say, I bet you're feeling pretty good. Everything's coming true like you said it would. And I'm like, no. Hey, I bet you're feeling good. Your show's getting bigger. Hey, Richard, your book's on the New York Times bestseller. I bet you're feeling good. And you're like, I guess in a way people are waking up, but no. I mean, why? It's like, it's
what, Alex? I think part of the solution would be a film and documentary. That's very powerful stuff. And the way to do it is through popular entertainment. That's how people learn. And, some documentaries have had some very chilling Thin Blue Line and Silence in the House of God. There's certain documentaries, A Fog of War. So I'm working on one now about the 50th anniversary, but I'm going to tie in the Nazi connection and our history since World War II. It's going to be very expansive. And I wouldn't mind interviewing you, and then you have approval over what
I don't care, whatever. No, man, I trust you. I mean, hell, I let the enemy interview me. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. No.
That's true. But it's what you're doing the right thing. TV, internet, radio, newsletters, your films. Just keep pounding away. It was a handful of guys in a room that started the American Revolution, and they were all rich landowners. So but we have technology. We don't have the millions of dollars in the slaves, but we do have technology as one of our weapons, and we just, loud and clear.
Well, again, freedom for one group at first, then it spread to others. That's why freedom is everybody's greatest possession. Richard Belzer's our guest. We're kind of doing a ghost dance here on air, but I think this ghost dance is going to turn out good if everybody takes action.
Hi, my name is Stephen Hewer. As a degreed nutritionist, my first priority is for you to get healthy. That won't happen if I make wrong recommendations or cause you to spend money on supplements you don't need. After 20 years working with thousands of products and thousands of people, I know, for the most part, what does and does not work. One World Whey is the first and only unheated whey protein powder from grass-fed cows on the market. It retains substances that no other whey protein powder has. These nutritive compounds supply life-giving nutrition. Your body merely needs the right conditions to make great health happen. Due to low-quality foods, toxicity, and aging, having great health is more of an effort than ever. One World Whey is the superfood of the century, and when added to your diet, it promotes energy, detoxification, muscle gains, fat loss, and overall radiant health. Call 888-988-3325. That's 888-988-3325. Or visit oneworldwhey.com. That's oneworld, WHEY.com.
In the U.S., 1 in every 50 homes will have a break-in this year. Burglars call it smash and grab. Police call it robbery. We call it avoidable. We are Fake TV, a simple electronic device that can fool even professional burglars. Fake TV easily plugs into any outlet and simulates the changing colors of a television. To a burglar, it looks like someone must be home watching TV, so they'll likely move on to an easier target. At only $29.95, Fake TV costs less than a month of most alarm monitoring plans and comes with free shipping. Order your Fake TV by calling 877-5-FAKE-TV or go to faketv.com. That's 877-532-5388 or faketv.com. Fake TV, the burglar deterrent.
In the last 2 years alone, the U.S. has seen huge losses to our food supply. In 2011, storms and floods raged across the U.S., costing us $20 billion in lost crops alone. In 2012, we saw the largest drought in the country in more than 50 years. You may think out of sight, out of mind, and so you don't think you will be affected. The fact is you are. We all are. Food shortages drive prices up for everyone. You might not be able to control Mother Nature, but you can control your food prices by freezing the cost and availability of your food supply with eFoods Direct. Be prepared before you need it. With nutrient-dense food you can store for up to 25 years. You can hope for the best, but hope won't feed you. Do what I've done and get your own supply of the best storable foods out there from eFoods Direct. Call 800-409-5633 or visit them on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex and check out their spring specials. Again, that number is 800-409-5633 or on the web at efoodsdirect.com/Alex. You can bet your life on eFoods Direct.
David Bowie bringing us in. This is not America. A little piece of me, a little piece of you. We die for the system.
Little piece of you, a little piece of me.
We die for the system. Not me. Richard Belzer, we're going to do 5 minutes overdrive and let him get out of here. And yes, I would love to have Richard Belzer pop in with reporting. You know, the main reason I got you on, Richard, was to get your take on the last time you were on was 3-4 weeks ago, the day of the London bombings. Not the London bombings, I'm thinking about 7/7 being a staged event back when I covered that, where they had a drill. The Boston bombing. And we said, watch there be a drill. Watch there be a standout. I mean, we said it may be real, but if this happens, look at it. And then the way the FBI came out and said, don't look at any other photos. What is your take on the Boston bombing?
Well, it was amazing that we're on the air when it happened. And, you know, history will not absolve us if we do not forever question, hold accountable, and improve the gift from our forebears, what historians have called our experiment in democracy. You know, we all have to join in this quest to preserve the very soul of our nation. So by you getting castigated for just telling what you saw on the screen when they had their patsy there and they called the press and then he disappears and they disperse the press and you see guys dressed in classic style in key strategic positions. You know, you don't have to be a crazy person or a detective to see that the government's handling of the information initially and thereafter became more and more sparse and condensed and marginalized anything on the edges.
Oh, they were acting desperate and running scared. Like, don't look at those photos. Don't look at the drills. Don't look at anything.
That's, you know, that's like saying don't see this movie and then you go see the movie. They're inadvertently driving us to find out what they're doing by saying don't look behind the curtain.
You know, there's the paradox. These are just men and women we're fighting as well. Most of them are just lazy and go along to get along. They're compartmentalized. And we think of the system as invincible and all-powerful. They're not. But our incredible weakness is what has let this scum take over. So really, the buck does stop with us.
It does, because they're really good at making the citizenry go after each other over petty political things when the big picture is there's no political party. You know, this is humanity. We're Americans. And
that's right. We're fighting over gay marriage, regardless of what side you're on. They're purely using it as a political football.
Absolutely. Both sides.
So they don't have to cover real issues like why is $85 billion a month given to these robber barons and banker bailouts.
Well, like, you know, it was tragic. Those girls were, you know, kidnapped for 10 years and all. But that was on the news for 24 hours a day for 3 days. You know, I was bumped from interviews. And you know, meanwhile, you got the IRS. You got 2 wars that are still on. You got all these other things going on. And the Congress quietly passing a law where they can still do insider trading. You don't hear.
You've got hundreds of thousands of people dying with flesh-eating bacteria, and it's not even an issue. My best friend, or one of my best friends, longtime childhood friend, went in for a minor deal, got a deadly bacteria, dead 24 hours later, total. I was there when he died. He was like 33 years old, and I sat there and I watched him die here in Austin, and they put on the on the death certificate, you know, something else.
Undiagnosable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's really hitting the fan now in a good way, so we have to be extra diligent.
I want to see what else is on your radar screen. Richard Belzer, the book, Hit List, available at InfoWarsStore.com. Get it? It's powerful.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Tyranny is here. The grim future foretold in 1984 has become reality.
It really says that the state is God.
The United States is now recognized globally as one of the most oppressive police states on Earth. This film conclusively proves the existence of a secret network of FEMA camps, now being expanded nationwide. This documentary exposes how the continuity of government program has established an all-powerful shadow state. Police State 4 chronicles the sickening depths to which our republic has fallen. Prepare to enter the secretive world of emergency dictatorship. Body scanners, sound cannons, citizen spies, stage terror, and cameras on every street corner. It's only the beginning of the New World Order's hellish plan. The police state isn't coming. It's here. Secure your copy today at Infowars.com or see it online in the highest quality at PrisonPlanet.tv.
Coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
By the way, I get in contact with from time to time or run into really interesting people. And we're probably going to be getting on the show one of the greatest comedic geniuses of all time. I'll just leave it at that, who is a longtime listener of the show. And I'm really looking forward to that. Speaking of comedic genius, not only has he been a journalist, movie star, TV star, Richard Belzer is in Scarface, ladies and gentlemen, as the comedian at the Coco Cabana or whatever it's called. So that right, the Babylon Club, excuse me. That's right, the Babylon Club. So you got to be envious of that and the whole shootout scene with Tony Montana.
Tony Montana.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, how cool is that, getting to work with the master Oliver Stone that wrote that?
Well, I auditioned for Oliver Stone. He was the writer, but he was in the room when I auditioned for the part with the director and the producer. And what it was all these comedians in the waiting room to go into audition. And they were making these comedians do their act and do a joke. And so when I went in, I said, I don't work in offices. If you come down to this nightclub, I'd be glad to do my act for you. And the producer said, no, Richard, just do your act. You know, like I saw you do in the club the other. I said, with all due respect, I can't, this is not where I do my act. And they were like all looking at each other. And then the next day I got a call that I got the part. So I'm not advising people to not audition when they audition, but.
Well, you were obviously called there because they already wanted you, and they liked the fact that you went no.
Yeah, Marty, the producer. You know, I just saw this headline, Alex, which is really funny. IRS acted alone in targeting criteria for political groups.
Oh, I'm sure they did that all on their own, even though they'd all go to jail if they didn't. Unbelievable. Oh, I guess Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, too.
Yeah, right, all three of them. I spoke to Chris the other day. You know, when Chris Walken works, they give him a phone he can throw away so they can just, you know, tell him when to be at work. Because, as you know, He's not on any Google map. He doesn't have a cell phone. He doesn't have a computer. I have to call 3 different numbers to leave him a message, which I think is cool. He's the only person on Earth I know that's not.
Well, obviously, he's super politically, wired and knows what's going on, but he's super private. I don't want you to give up any state secrets here. We can put video of you guys on the show for TV viewers last time you were on 2 times ago. But
he's unpolitical. The point is like every time I start ranting, and I've known Chris for 30, 40 years, I would start ranting like in the 80s, for instance, about something Reagan did or whatever. And he'd sit there and listen, and then he would just turn to me and say, hasn't it always been like that? And then 10 years later, I'd be ranting about George Bush Sr., hasn't it, so every 10 years, Chris reminds me that nothing has changed.
I agree with him, but it's getting worse now, and we're approaching a Stalin or Hitler level deal. I mean,
well, what's different now is the technology. Human nature is the same. Sociopaths will always gravitate towards power, and the sociopaths will get together and pick the meanest one. But now we have the tools to hopefully identify them and call them out. But, this report just came out, Alex, 500 plus pages, and no one was indicted. And Obama's a war criminal. Bush is a war criminal. By definition, in this report, condoning torture, and that just went out.
Hey, you know what? I was so wound up earlier, I was running over you. If you got to go, you got to go. You want to continue one more segment to get into that report?
I'm here, buddy.
Yeah, let's pull up the bipartisan report that Bush Jr. and Obama are war criminals. And there's been no coverage because the next day after it came out, the Boston bombing happened. And again. Oh, yes.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So we'll pull up that war criminal report and do one more segment with Richard Belzer, because he's absolutely right. What happens if they get caught but don't get in trouble? That emboldens them. Oh, my gosh. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Alex Jones. Myself, my family, the Infowars.com team want to relay to you and your families that we are intensifying our efforts against the globalist on every front. Infowars.com is leading the fight against the technocrats. But we can't do that without your help. By getting the films, bumper stickers, and T-shirts at Infowars.com, you will wake up people in your area and support our operation as we move to the next level. We need your help to spread the word like never before. They wish to hide themselves during this tectonic battle between the forces of freedom and darkness. You are the response to the globalist technocrats and their program of global eugenics, dehumanization, and ultimate extermination. The war is here. It's an info war. The spirit of 1776 versus the mindset of 1984.
What do you do when your propane runs out and you don't have a large amount of wood for cooking? That's when you need a Grover rocket stove from StockStorage.com. The Grover rocket stove starts easily with any combustible material like junk mail, small twigs, leaves, weeds, or dry sagebrush. Then just add a small amount of kindling wood and you'll be cooking entire meals in minutes. Grover rocket stoves are made right here in the USA and are built to last a lifetime using heavy-duty thick-gauge steel and are painted with high-temp paint to withstand heat. Go to StockStorage.com and see 3 great Grover rocket stoves, stainless steel, heavy duty, or our original Grover rocket stove for only $135 and get free shipping to the lower 48. For phone orders, call 801-361-6984 or go to StockStorage.com. That's 801-361-6984 or StockStorage.com. The original Grover rocket stove minimal wood use cooking stoves, available exclusively from StockStorage.com.
We've lived in this neighborhood for years. We have an alarm system and all of our doors have deadbolts. They kicked in our door and were in and out of our house in about 5 minutes. The police arrived in about 20 minutes, but they were long gone with our TV, jewelry, and my guns. I kept thinking, what if my family had been home? The police officer said that more than 85% of break-ins are through a door, and that deadbolts alone don't stop intruders. The officer told me to go to EasyArmor.net if we wanted something that would actually stop an intruder. Easy Armor reinforces all of the weak points on your doors and is guaranteed to prevent kick-ins. I was surprised at how little Easy Armor costs. and I installed Easy Armor in about 30 minutes.
Visit EasyArmor.net. That's the letters EasyArmor.net. Or call 888-58-ARMOR. That's 888-582-7667. EasyArmor.net. Ultimate door security made easy.
We now take you live
To the Central Texas Command Center.
in the heart of the resistance. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Okay, to illustrate how Google can censor results on 2 different computers last night and then again today, I tried to search Bush Obama ordered torture, Bush Obama committed torture. Can we punch up the screen here? Yeah, it's 2:08 Central Time. We're into overdrive right now with Richard Belzer, author, comedian, movie star, TV star, you name it. But all around really smart, informed guy since the 70s, exposing the conspiracies of corruption. But look, I type in Obama Bush committed torture, and I get Global Research, I get Democracy Now!, Before It's News, InfoWars. Look, Huffington Post, okay? Now, again, this originally happened in the New York Times, day before the bombing. Bush Obama committed torture, New York Times. I put in New York Times, and I finally get an April 16th article barely mentioning the article from the 14th, the day before the bombing. And it goes on to show the task force led by a Republican and a Democrat for the Congressional Committee found that they ordered them to do it, and it still continues. So, you know, you go see Zero Dark 30, that's a bunch of torture porn, and then they have Obama on the TV set in that going, I've now ordered torture to stop. And then in the movie they go, we can't torture to keep you safe anymore because Obama ordered torture to stop. Folks, they're torturing people all over the place. And I mean putting them in small cages, too small for them, waterboarding them, burying them alive, electroshock, drugs. That's all been declassified. Really by whistleblowers, not even declassified. They're trying to arrest people that exposed it, but it's been confirmed. Raping people's kids in front of them, Army report. Just type in Army report on Abu Ghraib torture. They did stuff in there I can't even say on air with small children and battery acid. Large objects, battery acid, you can figure it out if you want to. And then you see movies like Hostel and Saw, and I know the Saw producer, Mark Berg, you know, not a bad guy, but you know they're making money off this, where it's desensitizing people, showing all the torture, the cutting up. I mean, I went to a horror movie with my dad, Evil Dead, you know, the remake. I thought, well, I want to see this, and I went to it, and they were really violent, chopping people up, graphic stuff, and people were laughing in the audience, and it was not a comedy like the first one. I mean, I like that Army of Darkness comedy. You know, some of those. Who's that guy? The dark-haired actor. I forget his name. I'm not a. Yeah, Bruce Campbell. I mean, that's pretty funny stuff. But this was not funny, and people were laughing at it. And my point is, we're losing our humanity. Now, Richard Belzer, I'll give you the floor the last 10 minutes here of this segment. But you know, getting at this, because you mentioned this last segment's why I held you over, and I appreciate you holding over with us. It comes out that okay, Bush ordered it. And then when they got caught, they sent people to prison that followed the orders.
Right.
And then now they're continuing it, and they're expanding it, and they're not even torturing real al-Qaeda. They run them. They're doing it for fake confessions to have show trials. I mean, and now they're saying, oh, the one brother that lived, he confessed in his bed while under sedation, but we don't have proof of that. I mean, right there, the guy walks. You can't get a fair trial. They go, well, he's a terrorist, so he doesn't. No more due process.
Well, you know, they said it wasn't even clear. He may have shot himself in the neck, or he was shot by the police. And how do you have a gun battle with a guy who doesn't have a gun?
Oh, he climbed out of there unhurt, and they cut his throat out. I mean, it's incredible.
And we're supposed to believe that he confessed. You know, it's such an insult. That's why, you know, you and I probably get part of our anger is the patronization and the utter contempt for the American people. The founders felt that an informed citizenry was really a key to, you know, picking your leaders. And they've really bastardized and diluted. You know, our country was a great idea, but it's been appropriated by these thugs who now have technology on their side. That's why we have to be really vigilant. You know, like you said, you know, our refrigerators now know what we eat. Jesus, I mean, God.
And you have a groundbreaking, multi-year investigation, bipartisan, whistleblowers risk their lives, and they go, okay, you tortured, you ordered it, you're war criminals, it's indisputable, premeditated, you lied, and they don't get in trouble for that. Benghazi, IRS gate. I mean, these people make Nixon. It's just incredible. I mean, how much can they get away with, Richard? Are they above the law?
Well, literally, yes. You know, Nixon got caught, but he got caught. He was busted not for any reasons like secretly bombing Cambodia or, you know, any of that stuff. He just went into the wrong place. He threatened the CIA. He was going to sick the FBI on the CIA about the JFK, so that's why they got rid of him. It was nothing to do with how bad a president he was.
Yeah, he got too big for his britches and tried to act like the president.
Yeah, you can't threaten the CIA. Look what happens. You know, John Kennedy saw that the CIA went beyond its charter. They lied to him about the Bay of Pigs, and they started a war in Vietnam, and because they were making tons of money in Vietnam, and he said, I'm getting out, you know. He also was going to change the Federal Reserve. You know, Kennedy took Eisenhower very seriously. And there's a key word in Eisenhower's speech, his farewell speech, when he warned us about the military-industrial complex. And Alex, I just found out from Walt Brown, a great researcher, that originally in the speech, Eisenhower was going to say military congressional complex.
Ah.
And Richard Nixon convinced Eisenhower to take that out because it would estrange, you know, the party.
No, I actually saw that in the Frontline episode. That's actually on record.
Oh,
Nixon wrote him letters as vice president saying, do not do this, don't tie. And the full speech, he talks about a technocratic elite, a scientific elite that's running it to where they control all the science, and then it's a technocratic dictatorship.
Yeah, and that's right, literally. And he actually used the word spiritual in the speech, you know, that it affects every phase of our lives, you know, both economic and political and spiritual. So here's a 5-star general who saw the World War II, who liberated the camps, who became president, was too moderate for whoever was, you know, the permanent national security.
Well, if you watch the full speech, somebody drops a book or something slams and he jumps. They had just come to him and said, let's blow up bases and blame it on Cuba to invade, and he just fired a bunch of people. And so that's why he was so freaked out. He's like, they want to blow up army bases and blame it on the Soviets and have a nuclear war, but they respected him enough to not kill him because he'd been the supreme Allied commander. And you have done your research. That's it. Kennedy was respected Eisenhower and was actually trying to continue the cleanup that he tried to do.
Well, and actually, it's the CIA tried to sabotage a Russian ship in the bay off of Cuba to embarrass Kennedy, but it backfired. They lied to him. He didn't call off the airstrikes. General Cabo called off the airstrikes. And Kennedy said, if you destroy all the 10 of their planes in Cuba, then you got something going. But they lied to him. They blackmailed him. And that's when he fired Dulles and realized, whoa, you know, he was in deep. Generals lied to him. CIA lied to him. Because Kennedy was rich, he was insulated and kind of naive, and he thought, okay, I'm going to make peace in the world. I'm going to, you know, have civil rights. I'm going to take care of the elderly. I'm going to let free enterprise reign. You know, he lowered, taxes were really high in his day.
He cut them by half. Yeah, he cut them by 35.
Yeah, so, I mean, he was, you know, he took on steel, he took on banks, took on oil, he took on the Pentagon. I mean, you know, come on. It's like...
And then his brother took him on and they killed him.
Oh, yeah. His brother said that first thing Bobby Kennedy did after Jack Kennedy was murdered, he called John McCone and said, you bastards killed my brother, meaning the CIA. And then in a speech, he said, I can't find out who really did it until I become president. So, of course, that painted a target on his back.
And then you have the police report where Sirhan's arm is pinned. He doesn't shoot him. We know the CIA Skunk Works worker that did it. The police reports even admit that he was shot in the back. And
the temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thane Caesar, who worked for Wackenhut, as you know, that security firm, was standing right behind, and Sirhan was about 8 feet away, so he couldn't have had powder burns. And they took 14 bullets out of that pantry. Sirhan's gun had 8 bullets in it. Bobby Kennedy had powder burns on his. And if you notice, Bobby turned around and grabbed the tie and ripped it off of the guy behind him because he knew who shot him. And what's heartbreaking, among other things, is Bobby Kennedy's last words were, "Is everybody okay?" He was concerned about other people. Whatever his politics, that's where he went at his last moment.
Well, I mean, I've seen the photos of his jacket. It had like giant blast holes in it and burn holes. I mean, he was clearly shot at point-blank range in the back.
And yeah, well, some people think he was definitely shot in the temple because there's powder burns on his hair. And then other people said he was also shot. But, you know, they shot him. You know, I mean.
I'm going from memory, but I had like Jim Marsden folks on. And I mean, I think he was also shot in the back. Yeah, like you were saying. But am I wrong about him being shot? Plus, it was the London Guardian, the photos of the 3 known CIA guys, very high level, in the audience that day at the hotel. Have you seen that?
The Ambassador Hotel, yes.
Unbelievable.
I don't think he was shot in the back, Alex. It was in the temple because there was powder burns on his hair. But who knows? You know, I mean, we do know that Sirhan did not shoot him. We do know that Sirhan was hypnotized. A tape was leaked of you know, in hypnotism, there's a thing called the key where you can unlock the subject and they'll reveal how they were, you know, what they were supposed to do. And Sirhan was clearly hypnotized and, you know, had no idea that he didn't even remember that he shot Bobby Kennedy.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And it's just so amazing. And then now these people want to get rid of our families and our private property and our liberty. Also, they can run everything. They're going to destroy the human species so they can be in control.
You know, what fascinates me is the ultra-rich's obsession with thinning the herd. Like, that is, since, you know, the turn of the century, there's been this thing, and I think it hints at a soft eugenics, which America started with, you know.
It does. Richard Belzer, amazing having you on. Folks, get the book, InfoWarsStore.com, hit list.
Digestive health is the key to wellness and elimination of toxins. That bears repeating. Digestive health is the key to wellness and elimination of toxins. And Pro EM1 Daily Probiotic Cleanse is the key to digestive health. Pro EM1 is a powerful liquid probiotic, strong enough to cleanse, gentle enough to use every day. Pro EM1 is dairy, wheat, and soy-free, contains all natural and certified organic ingredients, contains no preservatives or animal products, supports a healthy digestive and immune system, supports weight loss.